Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is the Apostate Prophet. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show of the day. Welcome to the club. Thanks for joining and thanks for watching.
Hey, I did want to confess that the lateness was entirely 100% my fault this time, which has been the case. Which has been the case ever since AP started going to church recently. That the lateness has been, it's weird. It has shifted to me. I'm never late, and you're always late. And then all of a sudden, you start going to church, and it switches, and then somehow I'm always late.
Since I've been wearing crosses, I have been early. So I'm not sure. Maybe it's because you had your ears tucked away. I don't know.
Yeah. In my defense, everyone, it was for a good cause. Chris from Speaker's Corner and I both made responses to Muhammad Hijab's absolutely pathetic and deceptive attempt to respond to the Islamic dilemma. We agreed we're both going to make responses to each of his two main points. So Chris already made his a couple days ago and sent it to me, and then I finished scripting mine earlier today, and it was either try and record right before the show, in which case I was kind of rushing, but it was either that or record in the morning, but we wanted to release them in the morning, so I went ahead and recorded it. Anyway, that's why I was a couple minutes late.
Excuses.
But I think we're releasing them 6 o'clock a.m. my time. Both videos will be premiering at the same time. That'll be 11 o'clock for those of you in the UK. It is awesome that one of the top da'is on the planet attempted to respond in argument and is about to get absolutely humiliated.
Hey, David, do you know about Yaqub?
Oh, yeah. That's I mean, it's used in different contexts with the Nation of Islam and 5%ers. But the 5%ers I would hear from that Yaqub was the two-brain scientist who had two brains, and that he created white people by grafting pigskin on the black man. So he took a black guy and grafted pigskin onto him, and that's where white people came from. So the 5% Nation of Islam is a more radical offshoot of the Nation of Islam. So you got Islam, then you've got a weird offshoot, the cult, and then you've got he's got two brains. He's got two brains there under his cool fro.
Doesn't he look beautiful, man? Wow, look at this.
Yeah, he is.
Beautiful, man.
That's Yaqub.
Man, beautiful Yaqub.
Yeah. See there, it says figure in the mythology of the Nation of Islam and its offshoots. So I was most familiar. I mean, there were Nation of Islam guys in there, but
Yaqub was a black Meccan scientist who lived 6,600 years ago and created the white race. According to the story, following his discovery of the law of attraction and repulsion, he gathered followers and began the creation of the white race through a form of selective breeding. It's so funny, man. It's pretty good stuff.
Nice.
Probably real. Yeah.
They were. I don't know how they're still doing right now, but that was the main group when I was in prison. As far as like weird groups, they were bigger than Nation of Islam. They were bigger than Islam. 5%ers. They're everywhere.
Unusually large head.
Hey, you know, to be funny, I'm trying to figure out if I got it here. So I have my Bible. I think I've told you this before. But other people probably didn't hear it. But I had my giant Ryrie study Bible, and I wrote with a Sharpie 100%er down the side of it. And they would always go as I'm walking by, and they go, "Hey, what you mean 100%er, man?" I go, because, you know, as a Christian, I can't be settling for anything less than 100%. I can't be settling for 90, 80, 5, 5. What would that be? Like 5%? Come on. So anyway, those are fun times.
That's funny.
I still don't know how they didn't beat the crap out of me, because I mess with them all the time, and they beat everyone else up and never mess with me at all. It's weird.
It's a miracle. That's why. So, David, after being late and making all the excuses for being late,
good at excuses.
I do want to go through some of the stuff that people have been bringing up in response to me and in response to my.
So we can find out who our enemies are and who will be humiliated. Who's going on our list? Want to find out who's on the list, AP?
Yes.
Who's on the naughty list? Who's on the naughty list to be humiliated and exposed for the rest of our lives? And just remember, there is the bright side for all you who are attacking AP. Just think about it. If you never attacked AP, you might not have anything to regret for the rest of your lives. So
There's one interesting thing, which is, well, I didn't expect. Earlier, I tuned into to watch the debate between you and Alex O'Connor. I must confess that I haven't watched it. I only looked at like a few minutes of it, but I saw this bit here and I thought this is extremely offensive.
Did he give us funny line? It's awesome.
Let's see.
If it didn't factor in the clapping, I always factor in clapping into the timing of my speeches. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Or as we say in England, assalamu alaikum.
What's weird is he got serious all there, because that was like the funniest thing.
I know that he suddenly looks dead serious.
Yeah, I know he got dead serious. Hey, we gotta make a little short out of that. Alex O'Connor insults Muslims everywhere.
I was actually surprised to see this. I mean, I was surprised to see that this is how he started. Maybe he was trying to overcompensate, or compensate for the fact that he, has recently been criticized for not criticizing Islam or for backing out of the debate because of death threats. So he wanted to quickly drop a line before moving on.
I think he's. I don't know. I think he's just funny. But probably he wanted to say something just to let everyone know that he's not scared of saying something. Yeah. But no, I thought that was a hilarious opening line.
It was good. It was good.
Yeah.
It was pretty
good. Alex, funny.
Pretty good. I don't think that was a joke. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Alex O'Connor converts to Islam. This is the proof.
Yeah. What if he was like, I'm not sure why you're laughing.
Yeah. Maybe that's why he got so serious. What are you laughing about? I've converted to Islam and we've taken over the UK.
It is indeed what we say in England. Yeah, David. So
Sup.
I saw this video by some guy named Secular Spirit.
I've heard of that. I've heard of that before. It's not too big a channel. What is that? 8,000, 7,000?
7,000. Yeah, I actually communicated with this guy before. I saw videos that he made in the past about me and about others. This is an ex-Muslim atheist guy, and he is not very popular, but he's like a reasonable-ish guy, and has a generally reasonable attitude about things, and seemingly,
based.
Nah. I mean, seemingly, nice, good way of approaching things, even if he has great disagreements. And he contacted me in the past to talk. I actually did agree after some point that we should have a conversation, but it never really happened. But yeah, recently he published a video, and he's also apparently planning to talk more about this, in which he put me on the thumbnail and said, "From one cult to another."
One cult to another. What a dork.
And then he titled it "The Ex-Muslim Christian Disappointment."
It's like, that's not even the definition of a cult. And if you wanted to say, well, this is a cult, then okay, then atheism is a cult, dummy.
It is very much a cult. So today we want to have a look at that. We want to have a look at this, at what he said, because normally I said that I don't want to really engage with at this moment with people who make like critical videos about my recent developments and all of that, but I saw that this was a mildly longish video that also had some objections and questions that were asked in a little bit of a proper way, instead of doing it all the hostile and really messed up way. So I thought maybe this would be a good opportunity to. I mean, I haven't really sat down and talked about this, in an organized way. This could be a good way to just address certain questions that people have, and to also talk in general about where I stand in terms of conversion, why it came to this, and so on.
And
so
to humiliate your critics.
That of course,
it's a real reason. Come on, let's be realistic. You're talking to me here. Come on.
I mean, I am basically adding all of these other things just to not say it that way, but whatever. But whatever. So beneath the surface, I'm just doing this to humiliate people. But above that,
why else would you do anything?
I want to explain certain things and want to address certain issues, such as reasons for believing, the comparison between Christianity and Islam, and so on. And also, this is what we do, right? This is what we do.
That's what we do. That's what we do.
That's what they do.
So anyway, let's go through it, David. Are you ready?
Let's do some improvisational comedy. I finally get to hear who secular spirit is. It's weird. He's a spirit.
He is.
Is that an owl?
Here's something no one warns you about when you start creating content as an ex-Muslim.
Oh,
all right.
Elephant.
Time to pause it right here. We've heard enough.
What is this bookshelf?
What's your problem with this bookshelf, man?
That he's got plants all over it.
Yeah.
One that he's trying to be like me already. No, I can't. I would say he's trying to be like you, but he probably had books before you did. He's trying to be like me. The bookshelf behind him, but he's got some crappy IKEA stuff, whereas mine's handmade, so mine's manly, his isn't. And he's got all these dumb books, and then he's got, what is this? A jungle? What is this? Is he trying to give a Tarzan impression? Huh? What's going on?
Yes. Are these travel books here? What's happening over here? I don't know. 1001 movies.
Oh, I've got the entire Richard Dawkins collection behind me, so you know I got the good stuff.
I actually want to take some super chats first. So Fardi Ibrahim said, "Gospel is found in the names of from Adam to Noah. Man is appointed mortal sorrow, but the blessed God shall come down, teaching his death will bring rest." Okay.
Yeah, the claim there is that if you look the name so and so begat so and so begat so and so, it actually, and you take the meaning of the name, it actually writes out a message. I've never been terribly convinced because I'm guessing there's some different translations, but we should actually sit down with someone who knows Hebrew and is not a Christian and ask the meaning of all the names separately and then see. Well, I mean, I guess you could just look up the meanings of the names ourselves, but we'll see.
There actually there were super chats before we went live. Those super chats usually don't appear later on in the system here, but I can check those quickly. There are remarkably many super chats before we went live for some reason.
Really?
Holy Joe said the opening track to Queen's 1978 album Jazz Mustafa is concerning. Freddie sings Allah, Allah, Allah will pray for you. Who does Allah pray to? Really? I didn't know that.
Well, what do you? I mean, Bohemian Rhapsody. They're going Bismillah. No,
I know that.
From like what was he? Algeria or Morocco or something like that. Is from? It's from Northern Africa.
No. What's the place called? I forgot, man. What's that stupid place called? I don't know. He's normally from some Zoroastrian. Oh yeah, Zanzibar. He's from a Zoroastrian Pars community from India, but his family resettled to Zanzibar or something like that, where he was then, and then they moved over to the UK. So.
East African Muslim state controlled by the Sultan of Zanzibar.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't know that. Jean-Michel says we are waiting AP. Abu Bakr says, in Orthodoxy, does one confess sins to a priest? Yes, you do. Abu Bakr says, AP and Dawood, who are your favorite stand-up comedians? I don't really have stand-up comedians. I don't really like stand-up comedy very much.
All-time GOAT, Dave Chappelle. Used to be Richard Pryor. Chappelle has passed him. He's just as funny, but he's got more depth to it. So Chappelle. Then it's a tie between Norm Macdonald and Bill Burr. Those would be my top three there.
I like some stuff that I watched from Bill Burr. I know that he recently caused some scandals among people. I liked watching Ricky Gervais and his stuff in the past. I died laughing at his stuff. But yeah, I'm not very big into stand-up comedy. Did you watch dude, on your conversion? Yeah, that's what we're doing right now.
Hang on. Norm Macdonald, it was cool because he told this as a joke, and then people didn't realize he was actually he was dying of cancer because he didn't tell anybody. He told no one that he was dying of cancer. But he had that joke, and he was talking about cancer, and he goes, and people always say, so and so lost his battle with cancer. He goes, but I'm no doctor, but as far as I know, if you die, the cancer dies with you. So we should be saying it as, hey, he fought cancer to a draw. And so he told that joke, which was funny. Don't think of it as losing your battle to cancer. Think of it as fighting cancer to a draw, because it dies too. But it's, and then he died like a year or two later of cancer, and then he had it for a while. So it's funny sitting around thinking about cancer and then coming up with jokes about it.
Dying with cancer is beast. Sandman says a Muslim and an atheist. One will claim you were never one of them if you leave and mock you. The other is a Muslim. He'll behead you instead.
Oh, here you go, dude.
Really.
You can actually that's supposed to be a joke, right? It's supposed to be. What's the difference between a Muslim and an atheist? One will tell you that if you leave, you were never one of them, and the other is a Muslim. That's how it goes.
Dower troll David Wood was using Dihia's lotion, huh? Yeah. Yeah. Connor, a big Zionist Islamophobes. How do y'all explain the fact that the Jews aren't even semantic?
He's got a point. I hadn't even thought of that until Jake Shields said it. I was like, whoa. Semantic. I never even thought of that. They're not even really semantic.
Steph, have Muhammad Hijab's video views been abrogated? Yes, they have been. Joshua Wooden, what you said about the debate, David Wood, made me think you collapsed on stage. You did great the second or third rebuttal. You tripped over some words, but a Daily Wire win.
Yeah, I did. Jai said something similar. He said, I think you were too hard on yourself because you didn't seem to. I'm trying to think. I can't remember anything I said in the discussion. I remember a couple of points I brought up. I know my whole opening statement because I worked on that. First rebuttal, I remembered I responded to a couple of things he said from John, and then second rebuttal, I remembered I was going quickly, so I was firing through stuff. But I could probably remember some things here, but I like right now, just off the top of my head, I cannot think of what I was talking. I do remember he brought up the point about worship, and I'd offered a quick response. And then for the discussion period, there's supposed to be half was him sort of leading the discussion, then the other half was going to be me leading the discussion. So while he was giving his second rebuttal, I remembered he kept harping on the worship thing, which I'd already answered. I'd already answered in my second rebuttal. It's basically the word proskuneo, which is used for worshiping Jesus. It's like our prostrating. It can be used in a merely human sense of, bowing down to show respect to someone or something like that. Or it means worship if it's in a religious context. But he kept harping on it going, oh, well, if this means worship, then when so-and-so bowed down to this guy, then that means worship. When I already explained it, if it's a religious context, it means worship itself. So anyway, he kept objecting to that, like throughout his second rebuttal. I do remember that. And then while he was giving that second rebuttal, I pulled up all the passages that use proskuneo. So when I was leading the discussion, I was just going to go, okay, let's go through all these passages, and you tell me when this sounds like a religious context that they're bowing down to Jesus, or if it's just merely human showing respect. So I was going to do that, but after he did his part of the discussion, Ruslan's like, "Hey, should we switch now?" And I'm like, I was fried. I just remember that I was fried. And no, just let him keep going. So I let him keep interrogating. But apart from that, I don't remember what was going on.
Yeah. Diamos, I don't know why there's shock AP became Christian. You always were pro-Christian, even as an atheist. Many Christians like me figured you'd soon accept Christ. Yeah, it is a weird thing. It is a weird... People always want something to say. People always want to say something. The funny thing is I also, to this day, haven't officially called myself a Christian. Because I'm still kind of waiting for a moment here.
He calls himself Kate Schumann, everyone. Kate Schumann.
Today, I feel like I want to call myself a Christian.
Just to annoy everybody.
But I still want to wait for a moment or something. I don't know.
According to the BBC, we can all call ourselves ex-Muslims because...
Oh, yeah.
We all start off as Muslims, remember?
Let's talk about that for a little second here. For a little second here. Let's talk about that for a little second. Let me bring this up.
I was a Muslim, then I became an atheist, then I became a Christian. You were a Muslim, then you became even more of a Muslim. Then you became an atheist, then an agnostic, then a Kate Schumann.
Let us look at this for a second here. So BBC News posted an article. The article, when you look at it, I think itself, when you go into it, Eid can be lonely for Muslim converts. However, when you look at the tweet that they posted, Eid celebration can be lonely for Muslim reverts.
You guys catching that? See, everyone agrees on the word convert, that you switch from one position to another, and so you're a convert. Muslims say reverts because, according to Muhammad, everyone is born as a Muslim. And then your parents turn you into a Jew or a Christian or whatever. So they believe that when you convert to Islam, you're actually going back to what you were before. And the absolutely insane part is the BBC just agreed with them. The BBC just agreed that when someone converts to Islam, when a Christian converts to Islam or an atheist converts to Islam, that person is going back to what he started as, which is we all start off as Muslim, and you've got the BBC declaring this, proclaiming that Islam is true.
I mean, this is something that you will easily have explained to you in any when you ask Muslims. Let's see, for example, learn religion about Islam, revert, convert. Let's see, what does this say? Learn religion is the case for revert. So here, let's have this here. Learn religions. The case for revert. Those who prefer the term revert do so based on the Muslim belief that all people are born with a natural faith in God, in Allah. According to Islam, children are born with an innate sense of submission to God, to Allah, which is called the fitrah. Their parents may then raise them in particular faith community, and they grow up to be Christian, Buddhist, or other religion. The Prophet Muhammad said, "No child is born except upon fitrah." As a Muslim. It is his parents who make him Jew or Christian or polytheist. So, the natural state of you, according to Muhammad, is not just that you believe in God. This article is, of course, written with a very modernist lens. It is that your natural state is submission to Islam, which means you are a Muslim. And it is your parents who then take you from your natural state and bring you to a different religion, like making you a Jew or a Christian or a polytheist. This is what Muhammad said. So it is the Islamic belief that those who convert to Islam are called reverts because they return to the natural state. Meaning, this is very, very simple. If you actually use the terminology, if you use the term revert for Muslim converts, you are thereby assuming and saying that Islam is true, because you are thereby agreeing with a truth claim that Islam makes, that all humans are naturally Muslims. So using this term makes you a Muslim. Using this term makes you approve of the Islamic belief and present it as true. And here we have the BBC taking money from license fees from UK households and pushing Islam as truth.
It is. And think about something like that, because lots of people, if they don't know anything about Islam, wouldn't even notice that. But the BBC will just keep doing it, and then everyone will be doing it. And people would just absorb the idea that when someone is converting to Islam, they're just going back to the way they were born. And so it's assumed Islam is true. It's great crack reporting there.
Well. This is why. This is the state of the UK. And what are you going to do? This is the state of the UK. Are people going to be outraged about this? Are people going to say this is a Christian? On paper, this is literally a Christian country. We're not supposed to be pushing Islam. That's true. I mean, you're supposed to be, if we want to have secularism, have secularism, don't push Islam as true, especially in a Christian state. That's what people should be saying. Will people be outraged about this and take action? No.
People will say a few things on Twitter. Best case scenario, this is kind of like one more thing that may eventually help reach some threshold where people get especially ticked off at some point in the future. There's a little piece along the way, but probably nothing.
Powerful. You see, what? UK isn't Christian? What do you mean? It is literally the state religion is literally Christianity. The monarch, the king, is literally the head of the.
Which part of it? Church of England wasn't clear.
It is meant to be a Christian country. Of course, it is not really a Christian country, but it is meant to be one. So that's that. You see. Okay. All right. David, are you ready for this?
Yes, I'm disappointed because AP's not an atheist.
Okay.
In the room, or it would be more accurate to say, as an ex-Muslim, the elephant in the room, or it would be more accurate to say the elephant in the live chats and comments and private messages, Christianity. I knew that my channel would get a lot of criticism and anger from Muslims. And I also prepared myself for the possibility of death threats from Muslims targeting me and my family.
Hang on. He's preparing himself for the possibility of death threats? I've gotten thousands of them. What do you mean he's preparing for the possibility of them? What's going on? Or he's saying he was preparing before, but since
he was preparing before, you're not even listening
Okay.
to him.
Okay, I would assume if you're an ex-Muslim, that's pretty standard to be getting tons and tons of death threats. So yeah. I thought he was saying he's been preparing and it should be in the future. And I was thinking
He was preparing for
you
it.
haven't gotten any death threats and you're an apostate. You're doing something wrong.
He was preparing for it.
Prepare myself for. What caught me by complete surprise was the very different threat of Christians. And that threat became even bigger recently when Apostate Prophet, one of the most prominent ex-Muslim online figures.
Wait. The threat of
The threat. The Christians, they're saying they're going to slaughter me in the name of Jesus. I get all the messages that I was not prepared for.
I'm trying to be very, very diplomatic and gentle and all that, but the threat.
Yeah, AP, what are you talking about? You know Christians have been threatening you for years, and that's why you finally submitted and backed down and decided to become a Kate Schumann so that they'll stop the threats.
Wait, I forgot to read this. Misha says, I bet you 10 chains of narration. A Zionist state, a propagandist is spreading Ezra worship among the Orthodox folk. Ezra commands thee to corrupt all folds into hailing Ezra, for Ezra is the one true scribe. This is a good conspiracy here.
It is, and you need this sort of conspiracy. If Islam is true, there is some sort of conspiracy where Jews are behind the scenes and they're all worshiping Ezra and stuff. They're being diabolical about it. And
so stupid.
I know.
Anyway,
with more than 500,000 subscribers on YouTube, announced that he would soon be baptized as an Eastern Orthodox Christian.
Today I actually met with my Wait a minute, why did you skip it, man? It says for 10 years I was an atheist and agnostic. For 2 years I have been searching. Today I have been accepted as a Kate Schumann in the Orthodox Church, on my way to becoming a baptized Christian. At least read it, man.
Be baptized as an Eastern Orthodox Christian.
Today I actually met with my priest. Who
Hey, that's us.
Me as a catechumen, which would me it just looked like us, man. It's not us. That he accepted me on as a student on the path of becoming a Christian.
In a very tangible way, a lot of ex-Muslims feel that Apostate Prophet's imminent conversion to Christianity is a betrayal. For me personally, after I watched videos of Apostate Prophet, or AP, explaining why he's converted to Christianity, I didn't feel betrayed, but just I felt sad for him for reasons I'll explain later in this video. Many of us ex-Muslims were...
I felt sad for him because, I mean, just imagine if in the future he dies having believed in Christianity. I mean, can you imagine how traumatic that will be for him?
This is so...
What planet do these guys live on?
Don't you realize how ridiculously patronizing this is, and how this probably won't be received? I'm going to tell you something here, secular spirits. One of the main points, despite the fact that you might argue now in response to what I'm going to say that you don't care about, the public perception and all of that, the main reason why you made this video is public perception. The main reason why you made this video is the impact of me, an ex-Muslim, openly converting to Christianity. Here is the thing. Hold on, let's hear that for a second. Let's hear it one more time.
I felt sad for him, meaning why he's converted to Christianity. I didn't feel betrayed, but just I felt sad for him for reasons I'll explain later.
Poor AP. You
felt sad for me. So here's the thing. Do you think, secular spirits, that with this attitude, right, of some of you attack people like me who show interest in Christianity. Some attacked people like me for years now for not hating Christianity.
I can verify that. I've seen it many times. Same thing over and over. AP, what are you doing? Why do you keep criticizing the one religion that calls for your death and not focus on everyone equally?
This entire journey here, since you guys care so much about what the impact of what I do and the impact of what you guys do and the public perception of Muslims, who became more widely known and whose message reached more people? Don't misunderstand me. I'm not intending to make this about a competition or brag here. I'm trying to tell you that you are being completely counterproductive and not very smart and not very good about this.
Ooh,
and that you're not addressing what people actually hear and what people actually receive. whose message reached more people and whose message became more increasingly and unceasingly popular? Was it mine or yours? I will tell you, you all know the answer. This guy is sitting here and talking about me as the, most well-known ex-Muslim who's now converting to Christianity, and this is sad. It was obviously mine, and you guys feel kind of sad and upset and strange and disappointed about this. Maybe think about why it went this way. It's not just about me. It's not just about me being a very cool guy.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
It is rather about the way that you guys are, the way that you guys always have something negative to say and always act so patronizing about what other people hold and what other people believe. This is not the way to go.
Absolutely.
You might initially, in resentment and anger toward religion, have this attitude of like, oh, religion bad and so on. But in the long term, this is not something that people are looking for. Okay.
Yeah. So just to be clear on what AP said, you are not just saying, oh, me have big channel, you have small channel, therefore me right and you wrong. That wasn't the point at all. The point is you have all of these guys like him. And look at this guy. He's a good looking guy. He seems intelligent based on the little bit we've seen, even though he's saying the dumbest things possible. You think that's because he's clinging to his cult, his atheist cult. But he seems like an intelligent guy. He's got the bookshelves. He's got the plants. He's got a camera. He's got a microphone. He's got everything he needs to do YouTube. And far fewer people are watching him than are watching you. Now, what's going on? He seems to have all the ingredients for someone who would have a successful YouTube channel and so on. So, but everyone's watching. Far more people are watching AP. It seems like the way AP is going about things is resonating with more people. And keep in mind, we're not talking about after he started going to church and stuff like that. He was way more popular beforehand, even as an atheist ex-Muslim. The point is, why is what AP was saying resonating with far more people, making far more people watch it, making far more people learn about Islam, and causing far, far, far more people to abandon Islam than you, secular spirit, can ever dream of in your entire life. Why? It seems that something about the new atheists, that we're right and everyone else is stupid and only our group is smart and everyone else is just a cult and we're the only smart ones and everyone else is dumb. It seems like there's something about that rubs people the wrong way and people just don't want to listen to you. And there are some people who listen to you and you guys all cheer each other on and boast each other. Oh, you're doing such a great job. Oh, yes, good to do this. But it seems like the vast majority of people just aren't interested and look at you guys as a bunch of condescending narcissists and egomaniacs who sit around patting yourselves on the back for being so smart. Join our group, then you smart. You know, join we dumb. And so, yeah, I have to agree with AP on that. The only point there is you're sitting here. He's going about it all wrong. Seems like he's getting something really right, even before everyone's church. Seems like he's getting something right that connects with people a lot more than what the new atheists are doing. And that's part of the reason the new atheism is imploding. I have no idea why you're clinging to something from 20 years. It sounds like you made this video from 20 years ago when people still thought the new atheism was gonna grow and expand and take over the world and you're gonna get your scientific utopia. We've had over 2 decades of that. None of it happened. Everyone's realizing all the new atheism did was attack Christianity. You're attacking Islam too, but Muslims aren't listening to you because they're in places where you're not reaching them. And so what's actually happening is you guys end up attacking Christianity and paving the way for Islam and getting entire like Western nations on the verge of being taken over by Islam, and people are recognizing it and they're not buying it anymore. So, dude,
very much true.
Yeah, I'm just saying, if this was 20 years ago, you would say this and probably get a hearing and stuff. Right now, dude, you had your chance. None of the predictions of the new atheists came true. Not one. The world did not improve even slightly when millions of people became atheists. On the contrary, it got much worse. That keep in mind, nothing I'm saying is saying that therefore atheism is not true or something like that. It's just whatever you guys thought about the impact we're going to have on the world, none of it happened. And if you guys are at all empiricists at all, if you believe in evidence at all, at confirmation and disconfirmation at all of your ideas have been massively disconfirmed about as far as actually, functioning as a society in the world. You don't know what your guys are talking about and you're still pushing it. Why? Because you're a cult. And if anyone's offended by that, he said
I'm going to say one thing, which is that when I started out, when I created my YouTube channel and I started out talking about Islam, I thought to myself that there is one thing that I definitely and absolutely do not want to do, because I saw other people do it as well, and it annoyed me so much, and I know that it annoys others too. But foremost, it annoyed me, which is looking at people who go with this whole new atheist spirit and who create YouTube channels or who create certain platforms, and who then go this whole all religions bad, all religions equally bad, all religions equal offender. I have to now say something about Christianity too because I said something about Islam. I also have to, by the way, offend Hindus so that Hindus don't misunderstand me and see me as ally. I have to say something critical about Jews now and about the Bible now and about this is a ridiculous attitude, man. From the very, very beginning, I thought to myself, this is something that I will not do, because to be very honest, it is horrible. It is very stupid. And I'm glad that I never did that, because I never felt that way. I would invite you guys not to act like that.
And I just want to say another final point. Part of the issue, secular spirit. When people are listening to you, right, and they're listening to AP, and AP is saying stuff like, "Hey, I understand different people have different beliefs, and I'm okay with that.
Well, they don't.
I'm not okay with the group that wants me dead and is spreading rapidly and trying to establish a state where I will be executed. So if one actually calls for the subjugation of the world and calls for killing me, I have more of a problem with that than I have with anything else." And people are, no, you have to have a problem with Christianity and this and that. Okay, I just want to point out secular spirit. When a regular human being is looking at that, it's someone who's not in your cult, someone who's not in the new atheism. When a normal person is listening to you and AP, they're thinking, AP actually makes sense. It makes sense to be primarily concerned or even exclusively concerned with the group that wants to brutally murder you. That makes complete sense. Any rational person. In other words, if you walk up to a random person on the street and say, "Hey, there's a guy over there, he wants to kill you, and there's a guy over here minding his own business." They both disagree with you on things. Which one would you be more concerned about? Any normal human being is going to go, I'm like way more concerned about the guy who wants to kill me, like way. And you guys, no, you have to hate them both and go after them both the same. And you sound like lunatics, which is exactly why you sound like a cult.
So funny. I have to this day not attacked these people for having different ideas. I will not do this in the future. I have never attacked other ex-Muslims for being different. I will not do this in the future. But these guys have been going at it forever, and I'm just sitting here and just ignoring it. But whatever. Let's see.
Many of us ex-Muslims were convinced to finally take the step of leaving Islam from watching AP's videos as he deconstructed the problems of Islam.
Good.
Its harmful teachings,
Good.
its sexism, and
Did he say he left because of your videos?
ongoing legacy
No,
of
people.
inflicting death and immeasurable suffering.
Good.
Many of us cheered him on as he endured threats against his life and bravely took on some of Islam's most nefarious
you.
online apologists,
Thank
including
you.
Muhammad Hijab.
All right. Hey, secular spirit. You were like 9,000 points in the hole, but you scored a point right here with this picture. But in the future, refer to him as part-time stripper Muhammad Hijab, and then you get bonus points.
It's good that this.
You got one cool point.
Hakikachu. So why do we see AP's pivot to Christianity as a betrayal? Well, let's go back a little bit.
Because you're a cult.
There's always cause for some concern of the approach AP has taken on YouTube and social media in general. An approach that, well, often lacks empathy for Muslims who are, lest we forget, the main sufferers from Islam's toxic teachings.
Did he say empathy for Muslims?
I focus more on Islam's harmful ideas and how they...
I want to say a few things here.
Is this Apostate Aladdin's little brother?
Without going too deep into it, I want to say a few things here, which is number one, he says that lots of ex-Muslims left Islam because they watched my videos, because they saw my critique, and so on. Yep. And I'm very happy about that. The thing is, over the years, I've always seen people say, hey, AP, I left Islam because of you, and I'm now an atheist. I have seen people say, hey, AP, I left Islam because of you. I'm an agnostic. I've seen others say, hey, AP, I left Islam because of you. I'm a Christian now. I've always felt happy for all of these people. Okay, I've always thought, hey, I'm very, very happy to hear that. I'm touched by that. I'm honored by that. I'm very glad to hear it, and I wish you all the best. I still feel the same way. I don't. I never thought, oh, you left Islam and became a Christian. How dare you? Or you left Islam and became an atheist. What's wrong with you? No, I mean the whole idea was of this channel to inform people about Islam and why it's horrible. I even made videos going years back, including one that was specifically about why I don't criticize other religions besides Islam. And I sat down there and I explained very, very, very much in detail why I don't consider other religions remotely as bad as Islam, and why I'm happy for anyone who converts to a different religion except Islam. So this has always been my position. I'm not sure why you guys now have a problem with me influencing people in the wrong way. Secondly, what did he say last? Let me see.
Teachings and indoctrination. I focus more on Islam's harmful ideas and how they impact Muslims' thoughts and actions, rather than targeting Muslims themselves or verbal teachings.
Okay, he talked about empathy. I want to say this very quickly. Wait, empathy. I have in the past, over time, I have very often said that Muslims are the greatest victims of Islam. I said Muslims are the first victims of Islam. Muslims suffer from Islam more than anyone else. I have said on multiple occasions that my greatest wish for Muslims would be to leave Islam, because I've repeatedly said that I don't want to get rid of or kill or whatever to Muslims. I want to help Muslims leave Islam, which means I care about the human, right? The human behind the Muslim identity. I want that Muslim person to leave Islam and to become something else, because leaving Islam and becoming something else will most likely make them a better person. That was my position forever and ever. I did have certain positions in the past where I said I don't care too much about mincing my words and caring about those who might receive negative backlash because of what I do. I don't care. I can't concern myself with that. And I don't care about those who advocate for violence or who hate others. I don't really care about those either. But I'm not sure what he's talking about when he says I lack empathy toward Muslims.
Yeah, I just wanted to add something real quick, because we're actually very similar in that, but from completely different angles. In that you were convincing people to leave Islam, and some of them were becoming atheists, but some of them would become Christians in one way or another. And what you're told is, shame on you. This guy left Islam but became a Christian. You're doing it wrong. Everyone has to become an atheist, or you've failed. I was doing the same thing, in the sense that I was going after Islam for years. Some people would leave Islam and become atheists or agnostics, right? And people would say, but David, you're leading these people out of Islam and some of them are becoming atheists. They didn't become Christian. Guess what? I don't control what people believe. You can, if I'm pointing out criticisms of Muhammad, you might agree with me and say, I'm not going to believe in this guy, and might leave Islam. That doesn't mean you're going to agree with me that Jesus died on the cross for sins and rose from the dead. It doesn't mean that. There's no connection there. You can agree with me on one point and disagree with me on another point. And people would ask, and I'm sure you remember this from live streams a few years ago, where people would say, what's the point, David? If someone leaves Islam and becomes an atheist, what's the point? Do you think that's good? And in people's mind, they're thinking, well, at least Muslims believe in God and so on. So they're better than the atheists, like they're getting worse. And what I would say back then, and again, some of you might remember this, I would say, no, if someone leaves Islam, I'm glad, because Islam is trying to build this, thing where it takes over the entire world and controls and dominates everything. And especially in Muslim countries where they have oppressive rules and blasphemy laws, and Christians and other non-Muslim groups are oppressed and second-class citizens. If you get enough people to leave Islam, you might end up getting a better government system where people are treated equally. So I'm happy if in Muslim countries people convert to anything. Obviously, as a Christian, I want them to become Christians and so on. But if millions of people in a Muslim country leave Islam, and this actually leads to a government that respects human rights and gives people equal rights and so on, I think that's good. Even if we're a bunch of people converting to atheism or something like that, if it leads to a better environment for everyone where human rights are respected, I think that's an improvement. So I was always cheering for people who are leaving Islam, even if they're not agreeing with me afterwards. So we actually had that in common. That's probably why we connect. We kind of have a similar views on things like that. Islam is the main thing we're concerned about taking over the world. And if people are leaving it, that is good for one reason or another. But you have these guys, and then you have the Christian counterparts of these guys, which is no, if the person leaves Islam and doesn't come out of that agreeing with me, it was all for nothing. Whereas I'm thinking it's not all for nothing. It's not all for nothing. It's good if a bunch of people leave Islam and that this actually becomes an avalanche of apostasy and we actually start getting better things in place in parts of the world.
Powerful.
And indoctrination. I focus more on Islam's harmful ideas and how they impact Muslims' thoughts and actions, rather than targeting Muslims themselves or verbally abusing them like AP does.
What the hell?
What? Verbally abusing them?
Can you give me an example of this? Is he going to give an example? Let's see.
Yeah. There's a clip right after that.
Forget the main sufferers from Islam's toxic teachings and indoctrination. I focus more on Islam's harmful ideas and how they impact Muslims' thoughts and actions, rather than targeting Muslims themselves or verbally abusing them like AP does.
So what he is saying here is that I am actually targeting Muslims and verbally abusing Muslims instead of focusing on the bad aspects of Islam.
Yeah, you're not good.
It's very ridiculous because let me see the examples here.
Yeah, I don't know what he's even
never
talking
call
about.
a Muslim a parasite, for example.
Our dear friend Salwan Momika was just murdered by a bunch of cowards, parasites.
Wait,
are you freaking kidding
this
me?
This dude just complained that you called the people who brutally murdered Salwan Momika parasites. You can't call people who brutally murdered Salwan Momika parasites.
Let's play this again. Let's just play this again to pay attention to what's happening here. This is just outright. This is outright lying, man.
Dude, I already, just based on his argument, was thinking, this guy's not right now. Dude, hey, secular spirit, I now regard you as a lying piece of garbage. And
this is just pure lying. I mean, just look at this, man. Listen to this.
Never call a Muslim a Muslims themselves or verbally abusing them like AP does. I would never call a Muslim a parasite, for example.
I would.
So he says he would never call a Muslim a parasite, for example. Now listen to what he gives us as example. Dear friend, Salwan Momika was just murdered by a bunch of cowards, parasites. This is his example.
Yeah.
So he says that I am calling Muslims parasites. Then he plays the clip in which I'm actually calling those people who murdered Salwan Momika parasites. Are you freaking kidding?
Yeah. Notice he did the exact same thing that the Columbus Dispatch just did to Thaddeus to get him fired. Ali Dawa called Christians who support Israel crackhead clown individuals, and he said it back to them, and he goes, "Oh, that's what I expect from crackhead clown individuals." And then they run the headline, man calls Muslims crackhead clown individuals, and this guy does the exact same thing. He calls Muslims parasites. I mean, a bunch of literal terrorists slaughtering someone.
I didn't call Muslims parasites, secular spirit, but I'm going to say it right here that you are a parasite.
You're a parasite. What are you going to do about it? And you are a deceptive, terrible, awful person. And it's good that you do not have people watching your videos.
This is so disgusting. I mean, you present yourself as this.
I'm the smart one.
I want to present a reasonable perspective on this, and hereby also make a complete lie and pure slander.
See, because I'm the good guy. Join my cult, and you too can lie about other people.
This is so disgusting.
Yeah,
what's
it's pathetic, man. It's pathetic. Yeah, dude. And this, by the way, this is another perfect example of what I was saying earlier, that a person who's watching you and a person who's watching AP for years, AP is going to make far more sense. Even if the person disagrees with them on various things, AP is making far more sense about how he's dealing with various issues in the world. This is another example. If any normal if someone in your cult, if someone in your little new atheism cult is watching, they'll go, I can't believe he called these terrorists parasites. You see, it's so awful. when you guys are running around, Sky Daddy, religious tards.
But we would never call terrorist a parasite.
A normal person watching that and seeing what you just said, and then the example you gave, is thinking, what a reprehensible, dishonest person this guy is. And that's why
disgusting, man.
people aren't
I
interested.
mean, yeah, the people who killed Salwan Momika are indeed disgusting parasites.
Parasites. They're absolute evil garbage.
Insane or something? Secular spirit? What is this? I mean,
Hey, you should post a headline. Ex-Muslim atheist defends murderers of Salwan Momika. That should be the headline. Got that? Ex-Muslim atheist defends murderers of Salwan Momika. Because guess what he just did? He said, don't call these guys parasites, even if they just killed this guy, right? So he's defending it, right? So you could defend it. But would you like that to go around about you, secular spirit? That you're the guy who defends the murderers of Salwan Momika?
David, did you have too much caffeine today?
Oh yeah, I've been chugging it. I'm almost out, and we're only an hour into the show, and I almost drank all my coffee.
You got to be easy on the
I'm just saying. Think about. I do feel pretty hyper right now. That is weird.
Never call a Muslim a parasite, for example.
Our dear friend Salwan Momika was just murdered by a bunch of cowards, parasites.
Or tear the pages of the Quran, like AP has done.
I wasn't going to do it.
Helps normalize criticism of Islam, but also likely stops many Muslims from listening to AP's valid.
Did you hear this? Hey,
who gives a damn?
Hey, did you just hear what he said? That's what I was hearing for years from Christians. David, the way you're making fun of Muhammad and the Quran, no Muslim will ever listen to you. They'll never listen to you. People project their own ideas onto other people and don't realize. And I'm sitting there thinking, what do you mean these guys can't stay away?
Who cares,
They
man?
can't stay away.
I mean,
look what secular spirit just caused.
Why
Why
did we start this? We had Ali Dawa coming and saying to thousands of people that people like me who leave Islam and spread corruption by spreading it deserve to be executed, and that he would be watching and would be proud of that. And then we had Muhammad Hijab attacking us and our families and sending Muslims after us and threatening us and so on. In response to which we then ripped up the Quran and said, hey, if you guys are going to do this, we're going to do that. And I said specifically, are pieces of paper really worth more than human lives? You need to stop justifying and normalizing this horrible, murderous behavior if you don't want us ripping pages of the Quran. And here is this guy stepping in for the Muslims and saying, oh, it's very bad to rip the pages of the Quran because Muslims will stop listening to you.
Yeah, first of all, bull. They don't stop at all. Yeah, second, he's massively misleading again. I mean, he's making it sound like one day we just decided to rip up pages of the Quran. No, you had the Dawah guys launching a campaign telling their followers that they're going to, that what they have to do is stalk people's wives, stalk the wives of ex-Muslims, find them online and brutally threaten them with threats of rape and torture and abuse. And that this was how they were going to silence critics of Islam. Instead of going after the critics of Islam, they go after their wives. They go after their families. And we said, we are making you stop this. We're going to make you stop this. And if you're going to go this route, we're going to rip up the Quran over and over again until you stop. And what happened? They backed down pretty quick.
Behind the Veils account? I don't know what this is. Behind the Veils account. Did you know Behind the Veils? What is this? I don't know. I have no idea what this is.
Never heard of that.
But saying that there's some information about Muhammad Hijab and abuse and stuff. I don't know.
But by the way, little side note, that would make sense because remember Hijab, or what was it, a month or something ago, and he was going, dude, just so you know, I have on credible authority that Elon Musk is plotting to come after me and that he's going to frame me. And they sent me a message saying, if I do not do what they say, then they will frame me for a crime. And I have all of this on record. And all of us are sitting here thinking he's pulling an Andrew Tate. He knows he's about to be investigated and exposed for something. And so he's like preemptively saying it's Elon Musk setting him up, which is like so incredibly stupid. But this would actually make sense if he knows that he did something with it. Keep in mind, I don't know anything about whether this is true or false or something like that. I'm saying it would make sense if he's got something where he's going to be in trouble with one of his second wives or something like that. And then he wants to make it look like it's a Matrix attack.
Yeah. Abraham Harp says AP and Davy y'all go back and forth arguing about the most obvious false prophet is, and then fail to mention Mike Winger, amateurs. Well, we've already said that he's
not a false prophet. He's just a terrible person.
Joshua Wooden, for one of the worst AO debate performances I have ever seen besides Assalamu alaikum, seems he also adopted Dawa level arguments against the deity of our Lord. I haven't seen it, I can't say anything about it, but David is going to review it because
I'm not going to review it.
He saw the debate. Mark H. Debate was boring. No one defended child marriage or asked what the other person's father accomplished, or even prayer for Muhammad.
No, I don't even know. I don't even know if I'm ever going to go. I've never watched like the vast majority of the debates I've done, unless there's a reason where I'm looking for something. The thing I'm going to do is my opening statement. Now that I have, because I was interested, because that's how things look to me, but I don't know what the criticisms are because people don't use that argument. And so now that I heard how an intelligent atheist responded, most of his opening responses didn't have anything to do with it. He eventually got through some responses, so I'm going to put out the video I'm going to make I'm going to revise the argument in light of his criticisms to make it stronger, and then I'll get more criticisms, and then I'll revise the argument again to make it stronger.
That's good. Do it. Zenith says maybe after AP obtains Christian followers, he'll revert to atheism. You're such an idiot, man. Do you know that for most of the years that I have been active, the majority of my followers or subscribers were probably Christians? What exactly is your point? Are you dumb or something? I don't want to be insulting, but
yeah. Here, yo. I glanced over at his page when I pulled him up, and people are saying in there, it's because Christians give AP super chats and they give him big super chats. Of course, he's converting for this. And isn't it amazing? Because they do the exact same thing Muslims do when someone converts. It must have been.
I have been wearing this here for.
It must have been for money or something like that.
I have been wearing this here for I don't know, for more than a month, for 2 months, maybe. I don't know how long. This is a prayer robe. This is an Orthodox Christian thing. It's a prayer robe. I'm reminding myself to do prayers every day, and I'm not doing this to point out that I'm so devout, humble, and doing things. I have as soon as I announced that I'm going toward Christianity, I announced that I'm going toward Eastern Orthodox Christianity. Right now, here's the funny thing. This is not meant to be a defense of myself, but just to point out the stupidity here, or to the inconsistency at all that. If this was purely an attempt, right, to appeal to Christianity, of course, this comes from circles usually that are not very familiar with Christianity and with Christian practices and with Christian traditions and Christian denominations and so on. If I was purely making an attempt to appeal to Christians who are, supporting me or who would support me and so on, I wouldn't go and pick Eastern Orthodox Christianity out of all of these things for multiple reasons. The reason number one is that Eastern Orthodox Christianity has never been the most popular way or tradition of Christianity among my subscribers. In fact, I usually see Protestants or non-denominationals, and then Catholics, and few Orthodox Christians. Why would I try to appeal to people and then go for the least popular option of the ones that I see? Second reason is Eastern Orthodox Christianity is actually very practice heavy and very tradition heavy and very worship heavy compared to even Catholicism and compared to especially Protestantism. So you could argue that I actually picked the most intense or most difficult way of Christianity if I picked the Eastern Orthodox way. Why would I do that?
Yeah. And I have to just add, people who say that sort of thing always sound like complete idiots to people who know you. It was the same thing when Muslims would say, Nabil, he became a Christian because he got paid, or the Jews paid him, or he never believed in Islam. He was always a Christian. He just pretended he's a Pakistani Christian. It's like anyone who is within 100 miles of this guy knows you sound like a complete idiot for saying this, because people know him, know he took it very seriously. And me, I was there, and he was arguing for years and so on. But it's similar with you. Anyone who knows you and actually sees you along the way and seize the thing that are causing you to look into things more and so on. I've never seen anywhere where it was, oh, you know, I could get some more super chats.
Look, I'm even getting stuff like this from some people. Some people, orthodoxy is not Christianity, which is which is a very weird thing to say. But obviously, it is not the most popular form of Christianity. Why would I choose that if my intention was to just go with whatever appeals to people? This is just so ignorant. Joshua Wooden, Avery's Q was the hammer in the coffin of that debate. Glad he is on our side, the side where Jesus is Yahweh, the only begotten Son of the Father, two powers. I must say, Avery is a beast. And
he is.
I recently watched
the
video. I watched a video.
That should be its own video.
Where he was on CBN. They actually interviewed him. I sat there and I was fascinated by it because I think he is a fantastic speaker for Christianity. Yeah. And like if people wanted to ask me about what's wrong with Islam and why Islam is worse than Christianity, why Christianity is better than Islam, why Christianity is right and Islam is wrong, in all of these, if I saw that Avery is somewhere nearby, God Logic, I would say, I would rather him say it, because the guy is a beast. He has a very good way of putting things in a concise, in a logically sound, in a very good way. I really like the dude, and I hope he grows more and more.
Yeah, and he did. He got up and he crushed Alex. So it was awesome. And what's crazy is it's something I knew and what just wasn't even thinking about. And he got up there and schooled Alex. And yeah, Avery, totally awesome. And it's something, I mean, I've really been looking for it, because really been looking forward to this happening, because I was always thinking, okay, me and my generation, we're getting older and older and older. Someone else needs to be stepping up, and we need some young guys who are sort of growing up, not figuring this stuff out later in life, but actually like growing up in doing this when they're young. And so seeing Avery, lots of the young guys at Speaker's Corner now are really awesome. And so very cool that we got this young generation who are super smart, super quick, super energetic. They know all the technology. They know all the platforms. They're better at it than the older generation is, because they're growing up in it. And so it's awesome stuff. And I look forward to these guys making all of us older guys completely obsolete. And once I'm completely obsolete, I will be happy being a cheerleader for the rest of my days, just cheering the rest of these guys on. I still got some more things to do for the next couple of years, but I will be made obsolete by people like Avery, and that is a good thing.
The Actmus says, AP, the Jews will make you richer. Dude, I was very close to Judaism. I was almost converting to Judaism.
Because the Jews were giving many super chats.
But I ended up converting to Christianity. Obviously, the Christians outbid the Jews. So
all
the stereotypes are wrong.
See, guys, should have kicked in more shekels. You could have had him. Could have had AP.
Coffee House Dialogue. The funny thing is, I went to meet up with Matt Fred, and we recorded a thing together for his show, which is supposed to be out soon. There, as I was bringing up my journey and my getting close to Judaism and all that, the funny thing is, he said, "You know what? Actually, the whole Jewish attitude of not inviting you makes me want to be one of them." And I'm like, exactly. That was exactly what I felt like. They're not inviting me. So I'm like, why would you not? Why don't you want to have me? I want to have you. It's like, it's funny. We talked about that briefly, like both of us having the same attitude in response to that. But that is the funny thing. I spent lots of time with Jews online, Jews outside, interacting with Jews and all of that. And all they have about it is just, hey, we don't really care what you believe. We can be friends and allies, and that's it. It's pretty powerful. Thoughts on the disputes between Moscow and Constantinople? Not doing it. Also, secular spirit is a misnomer. Congrats on your journey. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. But no thoughts on the dispute. Disputes are not for the layman, let alone a catechumen. So, Paulo Lungaro, AP, I sent you an AI designed for you. I sent it in your XDM. Also, have guys heard about Islamists building a compound in Texas? Yes, we have heard about it, and we are going to talk about it.
We're going to cover that. We're going to
more,
very much more.
Last spicy ramen. AP, check the movie Man of God about modern day EO Saint Nectarius of Aegina. It's a bio movie about this very based man slandered all his life. I actually started watching it because my wife wanted to watch it. I think we didn't finish it, but I wanted to go through it. I was kind of interested. It's an interesting movie. We'll check it out. NG Daily Wire. What is Alex's view on Mark 14? Why does he think the Jews condemned Jesus if they didn't interpret his response as a claim to divinity? Jesus Christus.
Yeah, I have to say, I couldn't figure out where he was going with that. So yeah, I pointed out that in Mark 14, when Jesus is asked, "Are you the Christ, the Son of the Blessed One?" He said, "I am, and from now on you will see the Son of Man coming with the clouds of heaven." And that's him claiming to be the Son of Man coming with the clouds of heaven in Daniel chapter 7. And coming with the clouds is how Yahweh, only Yahweh is described as coming with clouds in the Old Testament. So this is Yahweh, and it says he will be worshipped and so on. So it makes perfect sense that they heard that and said they want to execute him. It sounded like he wanted to say that no, that was just a claim to be the Messiah, which didn't make sense. But he got so I was pointing out it just doesn't make sense that they're interpreting him as something else if they sentence him to death for it. But he actually got burnt up by the guy who gave the last question in the Q&A. The guy brought up Rabbi Akiva when Rabbi Akiva tried to argue that the throne is for the Messiah, and other rabbis responded, no. These have to be, even if it's multiple thrones, they're multiple thrones for God's attributes, because you can't have the Messiah being divine. And so that shows that even back then there was this interpretation that if you're claiming to be the Son of Man sitting on one of these thrones, then you are claiming to be divine. And so anyway, it was good.
Powerful,
fun stuff.
Powerful. This super chat just reminded me of the ICXC, just reminded me of a recent session as I'm in church listening to our priest after the service. He's speaking to catechumens and explaining different things. I'm just I'm so dumb. I have this attitude about me all the time. He's like, he's speaking to us, and while he's speaking, so priests do this thing with their hands, where they do like this sign, which is meant to be, it
looks like a gang sign, man.
ICXC, and like he brought this up, and he said, and why do we make this? Why do we do this as priests with our hands? And he said the exact same thing. He said, "Is it because it is a gang sign among priests?" And then he just fleetingly said it and moved on to explain it. And I'm just,
that's pretty funny.
I heard it and I started giggling, and I'm cracking up to myself and suppressing. Everybody else is totally serious listening, and I'm like.
Dude, that's what it seemed like, because you're like, because I didn't know that when you said it. I was like, oh, it'd be cool if like priests were the original like gang sign dudes, and other people picked up on it, like, hey, we could do that too.
Yeah, but it is meant to show, I think, ICXC for Jesus Christ. So
hey, you ever see that Ali G clip where he's talking to the guy who's an expert in gangs, and he goes, "Yo, I was coming out the hotel and there was these guys and they was flashing gang signs like real fast, right? And the other guy, him, was flashing the gang signs right back. So what was I supposed to do about that?" And the guy goes, I think that was probably sign language, and that one of the people were deaf. and then he goes, "Oh, so it's lots of deaf people in gangs then."
Yeah, let's see. Michelle, him aging Jesus in nature, God not seeing ontological implication was odd. You did well, David Wood. Praying for you, IP, and love to you, babe.
That's good that people were saying things were good. I thought the opening statement, I thought I had a way stronger argument, and then the rebuttals I thought went well. But man, again, yeah. I felt totally fried in that. So it felt really bad afterwards as far as the discussion period. So anyway, people are saying they thought it was fine. So
let's go through this, and then let's go rapid fire through this and finish it right now.
We've got more clips of you being.
We should be done in 10 minutes here.
Over the years, another cause for concern was AP's frequent collaborations with David Wood, Apologist, who he has done countless live streams with, and who he even recently went on a trip to Israel with. a trip that may have contributed to his eventual.
Don't go to Israel!
Things where somebody like me does not believe in God, in the divine. But when I'm here, I don't know. It feels like I don't know. I feel like I'm close to it. Like something is. I don't know. Something is there. It feels very overwhelming. What can I say? I don't know. I'm so happy to be.
AP's close.
This is so rude because David published this. I didn't publish this.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, I guess Jerusalem corrupted me if you want to look at it that way.
Yeah. Can you imagine this?
It's like, oh my goodness, I can't believe that people go around doing different things and things that might actually impact them and so on, instead of sitting in their room whining about religion all day.
Jerusalem really corrupted me, man. Jerusalem corrupted me. How could I go there and be corrupted? Look at them Jews praying at that wall. Look at that right there. That corrupted me, man. That made me a religious man.
Close relationship with David Wood is something that I focused on in a video last year. The link is in the description below.
Is AP a secret Christian? This dude's a
I actually watched the video and he was actually joking about it, and he said,
Oh, okay.
I'm not saying he's a secret Christian. So that was actually kind of fun.
Had been seriously wondering for years, is AP a secret Christian? Now, I didn't actually
Wait, what?
be wondering the description below,
Who's wondering?
which jokingly asked what some people had been seriously wondering
What some
for
people.
years, is AP a secret Christian? Now, I didn't actually think that, and I'm not opposed to ex-Muslims or any critic of Islam from doing videos of Christians. AP is free to collaborate with whomever he chooses.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, thank you. We're so glad we got your approval for that. Thank you.
Thank
Now
you so
we
much.
can-
I was concerned, man. I was really worried. But
Yeah,
thank you
I was
so much.
like, oh gosh, what if he says we can't? What if he says we're not allowed to do shows together, and that we just have to,
Thank you so
be
much,
completely
man.
separate, and all atheists need to move to Antarctica and stuff and develop a little colony where they won't be influenced by anyone just think about that though, because I'm joking around just because he says from one cult to another. That's why I've been calling it a cult here. So I'm kind of joking around, but I mean, think about this: like the people who get nervous. Oh, you can't do shows and have discussions or be friends with someone who's not an atheist. I mean, that is cult-like behavior, right? Like where you are isolated from other. You're expected to be isolated from other and to only associate with people in your group because you're worried that other people will influence you and lead you out of the group and stuff. That is some straight up cult-like behavior from this guy. So I think he's in a cult.
That's true. I mean, I saw you rocking that thing. I couldn't find mine, but I find this. So I guess I'm just gonna have to put this on now. He forced us to.
You did. You brought this on yourself, dude.
You see, they're gonna get hurt. You're gonna get hurt now.
We didn't want it to come to this, but you brought this on yourself.
I didn't want to do this. Anyway, it's too difficult to. Yeah, I would have to do that beforehand.
Concerns had to do with the substance of the collaborations. In the dozens of videos I watched in researching my video last year, I pretty much almost never saw AP point out to David Wood or Wood's Christian subscribers something that I and many ex-Muslims and ex-Christians understand very, very well. Islam and Christianity share a lot of the same problems. I went in depth on what those shared problems and harms are in last year's video, so you can watch them there.
Is this just him advertising his old videos?
Both Christianity and Islam operate through fear, convincing believers they're incomplete with God, the ultimate FOMO, fear of missing out. Heaven is promised, but hell lurks behind the offer, making rejection of God seem like rejecting love. So, concepts like original sin and divine surveillance breed guilt and self-loathing, especially for those who doubt.
Divine surveillance.
This dude, no one's gonna watch you, dude, and there's a reason. You are massively cringe, and again, this is straight from 2005. I don't know what you read.
He's making a good point. Now I'm thinking, wait a minute, why didn't I think about these things?
Why didn't I think about this?
It makes me think maybe I did a wrong decision. Maybe I need to go back and be an atheist again.
Yeah. I mean, think about this.
Well, why can't they be like us and we just run around screaming, Sky Daddy, Sky Daddy, Sky Daddy, Sky Daddy? Everyone's a religitard but us. So let's separate from all of them and not interact with them.
It's like, dude, get a freaking mirror, you cult.
I have to say one thing, which is that there is one thing that I can actually sympathize with here, which is that when he talks about hell no, when he talks about hell and he talks about going to heaven and to hell and being afraid for the afterlife and so on, like there is an aspect of it that I can kind of sympathize with, which is that throughout my life and especially my recent journey, I have never really felt like it's a great thing to push the whole hellfire narrative. And I know that some people, especially coming from certain churches or coming from certain places, think that it's actually a very, very good thing. I personally don't think it's a good thing at all. I think like if I hear more about hell, it just makes me want to go away from there, because I just, even at this point, at this moment, despite my agreement to the traditional narrative and the traditional beliefs and doctrines and so on, I have my reservations about God's plan for all humanity in the hereafter, in the afterlife, and so on. Now, first of all, direct, literal, actual hellfire is a debated thing in Christianity. Even in the Orthodox Church, for example, it is the idea is not that that people go to an actual literal hellfire where they are then burned and roasted and served as chicken or something like that, like in Islam. It is rather that it is an eternal state of consciousness, which would be an eternal state of consciousness of bliss or of torment, depending on how you receive or how you respond to the love of God, for example. Like that is the Orthodox perspective. In my opinion, where I stand right now, I obviously don't want to make any analysis on what is the right teaching and what is the reality and all of that. I personally would hold what certain people, teachers, church fathers, and others have held throughout history, which is that while we acknowledge what the text says, I would have hope in the eternal wisdom and the eternal mercy of God for all mankind in the end. Like that is where I leave it, and I don't have to further state anything on or further adopt any idea on what God is literally going to do to people in the afterlife. It's completely understandable. It's completely okay to say, I accept what the scripture says. That said, I also put my hope and my faith in the eternal wisdom and in the eternal knowledge and eternal mercy of God. That's it. I have hereby not contradicted and not opposed any scripture nor any traditional doctrine of any of the apostolic church or anything like that. So completely fine. And I myself personally don't operate on the idea of going to heaven or hell in the afterlife. My conversion to Christianity, and I guess I can call it a conversion at this point, I'm very much becoming a Christian and praying every day, is very much not based on the afterlife. It is rather based on my current state in this world, my journey through the world as a Muslim, as an atheist, as a Christian, and the comfort that I find in accepting Christianity as true, in accepting the idea of God as true, in accepting the Bible, the New Testament as true, and accepting Jesus as my Lord and my Savior. There it is. I've said it. So that's basically where my stance is. I don't really concern myself at this moment at all about with afterlife and what God does to people and so on. Like, honestly, I'm not worried about it. I'm not concerned with it. I don't think it really moves me. I know that for other people, It is a rather appealing narrative. It is something to focus on. For some people, eschatology is something to focus on, something that something that moves them, something that they care about. For me, it really is not. For me, what really matters is how the faith and the practices affect me right now, how I live with it, the impact it has on me and on the world, and so on. And of course, I would have to accept in the end Christianity based on whether I eventually and essentially believe that it is true or not. And I would say at this point, I am very, very much of the faith that it is true, which is why I'm very, very much ready to call myself a Christian. So that's that.
And if you have a problem with any of that secular spirit, you have our full permission to cry us a river, Mr. Overlord of what everyone else gets to believe.
That's what they said. That is what they say. That's what they say. That's what they say. Christianity, relationship, welcome to Christianity. Thank you.
I have to say, unless something interesting is coming up, this is not even interesting at this point. I mean, but let me put it this way. If you said, what's some atheist straight out of 2005 going to argue about AP becoming a Christian after leaving Islam and becoming an atheist and so on? And if I were to do a parody, it would sound exactly like this guy. Like a parody of what a cringe 2005, everyone needs a sky daddy except us because you're smart. What would he say? It would be exactly like this.
And here's some imbecile cursing at Jesus. Get out of here. All right.
Doubt or don't conform to their religion's
What doubt,
sexual
man?
norms. These religions also devalue life by centering the afterlife, encouraging believers to see this world as temporary and insignificant by comparison to the world after death.
What an idiot, man. Dude,
They make life insignificant.
Dude, you think we're all dead and then we're all going to die and then there's going to be nothing.
Why
So
are you so rude,
it's all a
man?
big waste of time.
Why are you so rude? He's just asking questions. Jesus,
No, I'm pointing out the hypocrisy here. If I say, hey, atheists devalue life by saying we're just molecules in motion and it's all determined and we're all just going to die, and then the universe is going to die a heat death and there's going to be nothing and no memory of everything, then it was all pointless. Atheists, and they somehow get mad when you say that, but then they'll turn right around and
They devalue life by thinking that
life is eternal and that what we do in this life has really, really big consequences for the future.
Yeah, here's the funny thing. You're pointing out something interesting here. And like on the surface, it might sound like you are building a false dichotomy, but what you're actually pointing out is that the false is the hypocrisy that he is engaged in here, which is so he is turning around and saying that Christianity devalues life, like Islam, and diminishes life and only focuses on the afterlife, and basically makes it look like the temporary life here doesn't matter. But he directly makes these assertions. I could now turn around and basically say that atheism is all about making life completely meaningless because there's nothing in the end, you just die and so on. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to make that assertion. Why do you, secular spirit, want to make it come to this? Why do you want to build this false dichotomy here of, atheism does not do that, whereas Christianity devalues life? On the contrary, I would say that Christianity can be very enriching to human life, and can make people really value their life, because just look at it differently. Look at it from a different perspective. You think Christianity teaches that this life is temporary, which is why this life is meaningless. Look at it a different way. If Christianity teaches, as you say, that this life is temporary, Christianity then also teaches that this life is the one thing that you have in front of you that matters and that decides everything, which is why this life and how you live it is extremely important. It doesn't seem like it's really devaluing life.
Yeah, and if you kind of look at the big picture, I mean, given the atheist view, if you want to talk about devaluing life, if we're just going to talk, you've got this big universe and you've got this tiny little speck that is our entire galaxy in the universe. And then in that galaxy, you have this little speck of dust that is our sun, and around that you have this little dot that is our Earth, and you have these little blobs of cells crawling on it that think that what they do is important. It looks like a cosmic joke from an atheist perspective, that you're a blob of cells, you're there for a blink, and then you're gone, versus you are created in the image of God for some really great, awesome things. Point is, you can't leave stuff like that out when you're saying this one demeans life, unlike ours, which makes life great and important. Important how? What a dope, man, dude. How are you watching this? This is like the worst, man.
This is the best thing I've seen in my
like,
entire
what
life.
is he like? What has he said that is even remotely within 1,000 miles of being a good point?
This is the best thing. Lil Gato says, AP, just curious, why do you support Israel and why do you believe that they are doing nothing wrong? My question to you, Lil Gato, is why do you believe every single thing that Israel is doing is wrong? Go ahead and answer that, and you will have the answer to your question.
Yes, and Lil Gato, why do you want all Jews exterminated?
Yes, why do you want all Jews to be killed, and why do you think that Israel has to be nuked?
Yeah, why do you come on here and say those sorts of things?
Yeah, it's terrible, man. Get a grip.
It's awful. It's the worst thing ever.
Real world harm. Just look at how both sides of the Israel-Palestine conflict use religious prophecy to justify and even celebrate violence. Both religions.
Wait a minute, man. What? His example for that is this: Israel in end time prophecy. Did you really just take one single small perspective and use it as your example that Christianity devalues life because some people use end time prophecy for the Israel-Palestine conflict? Are you freaking serious, man? This is so dumb.
Dude, what are you doing still watching this? Like, super chats are way more interesting.
Relying
Wait,
on faith rather than
you might say
evidence.
something interesting.
Christians accept Jesus' resurrection without real proof, and Muslims rely on circulating.
What a dork, man.
And because both systems
Without
rely
real proof.
on
And by real proof, I mean what I would consider
Right.
proof,
Right.
as opposed to me, who
Reinforcing
just,
very
I have real proof for my stuff.
centuries of violence and division. Considering all this, I found that
Atheists have never been violent, but you religious people are.
about the harms of Islam in videos over and over again with a Christian, but then not think to challenge.
Dude, look, this sounds like
What
like
same harms, man? What same harms? What are you talking? Wait a second. I want to address this, man. I want to address this here. Very,
just outdated and harmful too. Their holy texts condone slavery, restrict women's rights, and demonize LGBT.
Secular spirit, where does the Bible condone slavery? Where does Christianity condone slavery? If you want to if you want to argue, like if you want to address the Bible from the Christian lens in order to point out that Christianity is harmful or outdated, where exactly does Christianity or Bible in the lens of Christianity condone slavery? Where does it do that? Where does it confirm slavery? You want to compare this to Islam. This is the incredible stupidity and ridiculousness of this whole atheist approach here, of this anti-theist atheist approach. You're trying to draw a comparison and an equivalence between Islam and Christianity based on harm for society. Where exactly do you get this idea that Christianity is just as harmful or also has these harmful problems, just like Islam? Islam literally commands the Muslims, commands the people to go and fight in the name of Allah, to subjugate the disbelievers, to enslave them, and so on, which is why you have people going around today, popular Muslim apologists, preaching that slavery is completely fine and that it should be brought back, and so on. Where in the world does Christianity have these commands? Which Christian goes around today, which prominent Christian goes around today arguing that slavery is good because their religion says it and it should be brought back? Not a single one. Have a debate with me. Bring your best debater with me. Sit them in front of me. Sit them in front of anybody who understands a little bit of Christianity and really try to make this point that Christianity also advocates for slavery. This is so stupid. It does not. The only people who will sit here and argue that Christianity also advocates for slavery because the Bible says it, just like Islam, are people who have no idea about what Christians believe, what Christianity is, what the Bible is, and so on. This is pure ignorance, absolute stupidity and ignorance. And I see some here in the chat, like atheists, who are like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you don't you look in the Bible? The Bible says it." You people are stupid. I'm sorry to say this, but it's the year 2025. Sit down and do an hour of research to find out whether Christianity actually approves of slavery or not. You will not encounter just apologetics. What you will encounter is your lack of understanding of the scripture. The scripture does not advocate for or condone slavery. It does not do that. You people are dumb.
Yeah, AP, people do not understand what you're saying, right? They're saying, oh, but it talks about slavery here and it talks about slavery there and so on. That's not the point AP is making. There are certain things that are taken as historical reality, like it's saying submit to pagan rulers in the New Testament stuff. Doesn't mean like this is a good state of, this is an ideal state of affairs or something like that. Jesus specifically said that God allows things because of the hardness of people's hearts. In other words, he understands what's going on in a historical period and allows certain things. What do you have actually in Christianity and in Judaism as well? You have that human beings are created in the image of God. You have do unto others as you would have them do unto you. These are the ideas that are inserted into the system that eventually lead to slavery being abolished. And you guys have nothing but contempt for those ideas, even though those are the very reasons that you guys oppose slavery. Keep in mind, for centuries, thousands of years, it never crossed anyone's mind that slavery is wrong. You guys living in Western nations that have been massively influenced by Christianity, where did you guys come up with the idea that slavery is wrong? You just invent that yourselves? There was just, religious people, and then suddenly atheists came along. They said, you know what? Slavery is wrong. AP, what is there within atheism that would cause a person to say slavery is wrong? Give me anything. You're an atheist. I was an atheist. I can't think of anything within atheism that would arise from atheism itself that would cause me to think there's something wrong with slavery. What?
The adoption of liberalism based on Christian ethics.
Yeah. Yes, that's what I mean. That's not something that arises within atheism. If it was atheism, if it's just atheism, I would say, okay, I can own this cup. I can own a cat. I can own a dog. I can own a plant. Why can't I own another human being? Why would there be a problem with owning another human being? I know how you can make the argument for that. I know how you could argue that it's wrong to own a human being based on an idea like human beings are created in the image of God. This is the image of God that you're claiming to own, or that you should do unto others as you would have them do unto you. I wouldn't want someone enslaving me. I understand how you'd make that with those ideas. I have zero clue how, from an atheist perspective, you could say, here's why slavery is wrong. And there's nothing in atheism that will give you that idea. You guys absorbed that idea from Christians who came before you, and you attack Christianity, but don't attack the values that gave rise to these things. And then you think you're the champions of the values, and you just sound like idiots, guys. You sound like morons. So anyone who's actually thought through
in Christian history, there were Christians who advocated, who defended the institution of slavery, based on the idea that the Bible does not outright ban it. In Christian history, you have also had people from the very, very beginning. In fact, the first abolitionists were Christians. You had Christians directly saying the Bible makes it very clear that we are not to treat each other in such a way, which is why slavery should not be a thing. So in the Christian sense, in the Bible, the Christian Bible does not contain explicit commands as you want it, like in Islam, for example, to condemn or to ban or to allow slavery or to establish it. Historically, both sides made their case based on the Bible. However, the Bible has a general concept, which is the most fundamental thing is to love God and to love each other, and treat each other as you want to be treated, and so on. So based on these ideas, it was actually Christians themselves who more and more developed and advocated for the idea that slavery is inhuman and that it should be abolished. You cannot possibly tell me that that slavery in Christianity is just as bad or just like Islam, for example. Islam explicitly not just allows it, but commands it. Christianity does not. Christianity over time led to the abolition of slavery. And no Christian goes around today saying, this is in the Bible, it should be brought back. It should be brought back. Why is it not here? Because you had early church fathers already advocating for abolition.
Yeah, there was two-thirds of abolitionists in the 1800s were actual clergy.
Who was the early church father who was an abolitionist, who basically suggested that slavery is bad?
I forget. IP brings that up, but I've seen lists of people who were just freeing thousands of slaves back then. They wouldn't just free their own slaves; it were wealthy people would buy everyone else's slaves and set them free. But that was like in the early centuries of Christianity.
Gregory of Nyssa. Gregory of Nyssa was the church father who. I think he didn't outright say that it's forbidden, but he said that it is. But he condemned it basically, and said that it is not something that is in line with the teachings of the Bible, of the gospel, and so on. Several others have made critical commentary and critical rejections of it based on how immoral and wrong it is. So these are early Christian developments. We're talking about church fathers. These are the early centuries of Christianity.
And it's just borderline insane. And it's like how out of touch are you? A bunch of Christians made such a big impact on the world that they convinced everyone that slavery is wrong, even non-Christians, and people who didn't want to adapt to that were made to adapt. In other words, Christians convinced entire governments to have this position. Is actually the Christian West that basically made the Muslim world start abolishing slavery and so on. And then why do atheists now, who grow up in an environment where slavery is bad, and they just AP? Here's the insane thing: when someone is a Christian, an atheist like this would be like, oh, you're just a Christian because you were taught to believe that. And therefore there's something wrong with believing something you were taught. Okay. Why do you believe that slavery is wrong? Secular spirit. It's because you were taught that. Is there anything within atheism that would lead you to think that it's wrong? No, nothing, which means you have a belief that you got ultimately from Christians that you have no actual foundation for. And if you don't believe me, I accept. Come on with us live. I'll play atheist skeptic, and you tell me slavery is wrong, and give me anything based on atheism itself, based on our mutual atheist framework, if that's how I'm arguing. Give me anything that would come within a trillion miles of showing that slavery is somehow wrong. Triple dog dare you. You would get crushed because there's nothing. You have to get that from somewhere else. And guys, hey, it's funny because they've been saying it for 25 years. Atheism is just the absence of belief. It's just a lack of belief. Okay, what is it in your lack of belief that convinces you that slavery is wrong? If atheism is just a lack of belief, then any positive content in your worldview has to come from somewhere else. Okay, so if you have a positive idea that slavery is wrong, where are you getting that idea from? It doesn't come from your lack of belief. It comes from somewhere else. We know where it came from. And it's the position that you're attacking, and you have no foundation at all for your position except just saying it. And it's funny because you'll look at other people and go, oh, you just believe without evidence. You believe in the resurrection without evidence. You believe in ultimate moral values and standards that make zero sense on your worldview, and you don't see it because you're in a cult.
Yeah. Here's Gregory of Nyssa. Where is that? I think I had a different... Gregory of Nyssa on cultural oppression. But anyway, this guy here has it summarized in his commentary on Ecclesiastes. So there is this popular phrase. So it's a whole thing about how slavery is a horrible and bad thing. But here, I got me slaves and slave girls. What do you mean? You condemn man to slavery when his nature is free and possesses free will, and you legislate in competition with God, overturning his law for the human species, the one made on the specific terms that he should be the owner of the earth and appointed to government by the Creator. Him you bring under the yoke of slavery, as though defying and fighting against the divine decree, and so on. So this guy, this is the popular quote here, but there is more to it that he said. He was like saying people who actually engage in slave ownership and all of that are basically insulting God and engaging in mockery and so on. So this is early Christianity, man.
LGBTQ people. most dangerously, both discourage critical thinking, relying on blind faith rather than evidence. Christians accept Jesus' resurrection without real proof, and Muslims rely on circular reasoning about the Quran's perfection. And because both systems rely
without real proof. I'm not sure if you want to talk deeply about this. Maybe there's something that you can redirect people to. But the whole idea of we don't have 100% proof. I wasn't there. I haven't seen it. Therefore, how can I believe in it? Is exactly something that that bothered me for the longest time, and not necessarily something that that anyone should be honestly concerned with. I mean, you have evidence of the records of Jesus's life and his death and resurrection, right? You have the teachings. You have you would, for example, say that there's overwhelming evidence that it actually did happen, that there are hundreds of people who attested to it, and who by multiple accounts written about it.
I would say it's the best explanation of the evidence we have available to us. And when I say that, I mean it is even if you go with non-Christian scholars, historical Jesus scholars and New Testament scholars, everyone grants that Jesus died by crucifixion. That's not disputed. That's the thing we know most about Jesus beyond his existence. We know that he was crucified. So Jesus died by crucifixion. We also know that his followers were at least claiming that he appeared to them. And we know these guys were willing to endure persecution, torture, and death for their claim. And therefore, it sounds like they really believed it. And therefore, it sounds like they weren't making it up. So if they were wrong, what could have convinced these guys that Jesus appeared to them risen from the dead? And it's important to note, even non-Christian scholars will grant appearances to some people. Doesn't mean they're not granting that Jesus actually appeared to them, but they have to grant that these people thought Jesus appeared to them. So even Bart Ehrman, when I was talking to him, he said he grants at the very least, Peter, Paul, and Mary to account for why they came to believe Jesus rose from the dead, and why people like Peter and Paul were willing to endure martyrdom and so on for their belief. So you've got Jesus was dead, he was crucified and killed, and you've got that multiple followers and Paul, who was an enemy, were convinced that he had risen from the dead and appeared to them. The point here is he's saying, oh, this is the same as Islam. No, when a Muslim gives you an argument from scientific miracles or from the perfect preservation of the Quran, it's based on lies, right? The perfect preservation, it's just based on lies. The moment you start looking into it, you realize, oh, this was just a lie. When you're talking about Jesus' resurrection, you say, okay, I don't believe in it, but you look at it and say, okay, you have a bunch of evidence that he was dead, and you have people claiming that he rose from the dead and appeared to them. That's not nothing. You could say it's not enough for me to convince me or something like that. But if someone did rise from the dead, that's exactly the evidence you would expect. If someone rose from the dead, if someone died and then rose from the dead and appeared to people, that's exactly the evidence you would expect. If someone just died and was crucified and tossed in a hole somewhere, you wouldn't expect multiple people. You could expect some sort of grief hallucination among one person. But for friends and foes to both be convinced that this guy was appearing to them after rising from the dead, you have to say why. And why does it have to be the same guy who's known as a miracle worker? And why does it have to be the same guy who's claiming to be the Messiah and so on? It's like it's a weird collection of features that all come together in Jesus.
This is something that as an ultra skeptic person looking at the resurrection idea and how Bart Ehrman argues about it always made me feel a little bit strange, because it's so weird to me, because I don't want to misrepresent the guy. I have his book. I read much of it. I watched his debates about the resurrection of Jesus. But the thing is, what was very surprising to me, getting to know Bart Ehrman's position on the death and resurrection of Jesus, is that he very much agrees that the early followers who witnessed Jesus were very much convinced that he was resurrected on the third day after he was crucified. So he then explains what actually went on there, whether it was a hallucination, a mass hallucination, mass delusion, what exactly happened, and so on. And it was just very weird to me, because as I was first approaching the evidence for Christianity, I was expecting a scholar like Bart Ehrman to go into it and to say, oh yeah, no, this is just a made-up story. People didn't believe that he was actually resurrected, and nobody claims to have seen it. But he actually does believe. He actually does present, because this is the most logical conclusion, that his early followers did indeed believe fully that he was indeed resurrected, that he actually rose after being crucified and buried. For me, as a hardcore skeptic and I don't know, cynic, I would say, to sit there and listen to Bart Ehrman, who says maybe it was mass hallucination or something, it seems very strange. You know, it
is. And by the way,
it's very difficult to accept that these people actually had like hallucinations, and that's what they built everything on.
Yeah, and that was kind of my reaction. I was in jail thinking about this stuff, and looking at Fox's Book of Martyrs and stuff like that. But it's like processing this stuff. As an atheist, you expect you're going to go look at this, and there's going to be nothing there. It's just going to be nothing. But no, you go there and you find out there's some stuff that you have to explain, right? And what you have is you have followers of a guy who's crucified. Guess what? There were other people. There were tons of other people who were crucified. Why did people come to believe this particular guy rose from the dead? Well, we know they're going around claiming that he appeared to them after rising from the dead. And so you think, okay, are they making stuff up? But then you find out, no, they're willing to endure torture and death to proclaim this. And so it's like, what could have given them this confidence? Guess what? That doesn't mean you have to believe it. It doesn't even mean you think it's the best explanation. The point is you have evidence, right? You have evidence that requires an explanation. You have to explain, what is it that gave rise to this belief? The one that fits best, if you kind of rule out supernatural explanations, the one that actually fits is he rose from the dead. That explains it, right? That would, in other words, even if you're an atheist, would that explain the evidence? I think it would. Okay. Why do we have all the evidence that he died? Why did all these people think that he rose from the dead and appeared to them? I'm going to go with because he rose from the dead and appeared to them. That's the straightforward explanation. Why would you not want to go with that? Well, if you have a prior commitment to naturalism or something like that, then you say, okay, it's got to be something else. But guess what? You still have to come up with an explanation that accounts for the evidence. And so you have to start saying, people are hallucinating. It's like, what are the odds that Peter's hallucinating and Mary's hallucinating, and even Paul, an enemy of the church at first, he's hallucinating, and James, the brother of Jesus, he's hallucinating. Why is Jesus the one who gives rise to all of these different hallucinations and all these different people? The more you have to appeal to the hallucination theory and so on, the more improbable it seems. And it's like, okay, well, I don't think that really accounts for it as well as just he rose. That's pretty simple, straightforward. Again, if you have a commitment to naturalism, you have to go with some other explanation. Those explanations, if you're a real skeptic, you should also be skeptical about multiple hallucinations to all kinds of people and group hallucinations and all these to account for a belief that arose back then. So the point is, try being skeptical of your own assumptions and your own explanations for the evidence.
Powerful.
Yeah. Anyway,
powerful.
But he's not.
On the same logic.
Why are we watching this? This guy sucks, man. This is garbage. Every single second is garbage. Oh, look, AP's money-motivated hypocrisy. That's what's coming up.
All this, I found AP's general lack of commentary on these similarities odd, bizarre.
There are no similarities, literally none.
But then in explaining AP's failure here, hypocrisy. But what was motivating this hypocrisy? So there's one cynical explanation for AP's motivations that I have to address here because it's an accusation that AP has received from atheists and Muslims alike. Basically, that AP doesn't criticize Christianity because a lot of his support and revenue comes from, well, Christians. When I look at the comments and live chats of people who follow AP, there's definitely ex-Muslims in there, but Christians are a much more prominent, significant presence.
Shout out to my Christians.
Yeah. Hang on. By the way,
he's not actually defending this position.
Yeah. Okay. No, I just want to be clear. Why would AP have a bunch of Christian followers as opposed to other atheists? Could it be because a bunch of other atheists are sky daddy Christians are religion tards, stupid. The Christians just want to enslave us all and send us all to hell? Because you have people like that, and AP is just not like that. And so Christians would look at him and say, oh, he's criticizing Islam, which we agree is a problem too. And he's making very good points about Islam. So you know what? We're actually okay with this.
I think he's gonna even address the thing here that might.
I don't care what he addresses. Everything he says sucks, man.
Man, I want to watch this.
It's someone whose focus is criticizing Islam and supported him long before he announced his upcoming conversion. Their agenda appears to be a mix of things: to revel in seeing a former Muslim mock and disparage their main rival, Islam, perhaps in the hopes of converting more people to Christianity, but also to comfort themselves that they're following the one true religion.
Could it also be secular spirit that that Muslims are very, very heavily engaged in trying to convert other people, including Christians, and trying to convert Western nations, which is why Christian people in Western nations and Christian people in other non-Western nations who are confronted with this have certain objections about it and want to be and are concerned about it and want to talk about it. Could this also be a cause, secular spirit?
And I just have to point out, notice for years now we've had lots of Jews watching and lots of we've always had Hindus watching and so on. But secular spirit, could there be a very simple explanation, namely that Christians, Jews, atheists who aren't like you, Hindus, everyone, we all understand that Islam wants to subjugate us all, and therefore on this issue we're all on the same side, and that we don't want to be subjugated, every last one of us, Christian, atheist, Jew, minority Muslim groups.
Yeah, I have to point out that it's very rude of him to just focus on the Christians only, considering that I spent much of my time over the last 2 years saying lots of good things about Jews, saying I love Jews,
because he wants the shekels,
saying I like Jews and I love Jews, and it's also like very, very shameless of him to not even address the fact that there are so many Jews also doing super chats here, and of course they are only making super chats because I say, oh, I love Jews, or I don't know, it could also be, or maybe I'm being positive toward Jews because they're making super chats, or it could be that we have something in common, that I have been engaging in a certain message that Jewish people appreciate as well, because I actually genuinely feel love for Jews, no matter what anyone says.
And that even if you didn't necessarily feel love or anything else, you could sit there and say, hey, the same guys who want to brutally murder me for being ex-Muslim also want to brutally murder Jews across the board for the exact same reason, namely their prophet ordered them to do that. And so we're all on the same side of this issue. It can't be that. It's just got to. In fact, it's got to be the shekels, man.
If I went for either the money or the popularity, right now it is extremely popular to be anti-Jewish, man. Right now, you could be the dumbest person in the world and sit down and start spreading conspiracy theories about Jews. People love it right now. It's like the atmosphere right now for anti-Semitism is perfect. It's fantastic. In fact, I would say that for many years, even among conservatives and others, it was the popular thing to defend Jews. Right now, it is the popular thing to basically attack Jews, which is why many people have switched over to simply hating and attacking Jews. Mm-hmm. I would say it's a very cowardly thing to do.
Yeah,
the thing for weak-minded cowards to do, to go after Jews right now. If I was going for the easy thing, for the popular thing, for whatever makes money, I would be attacking Jews right now, man.
Yeah. And by the way, you can spot the people who are just going with what's popular and trying to get money, because they just, whatever becomes popular, they roll with it.
Yeah.
And you can spot them. And then other people just stand their ground on the issues, and they might change their mind on something, but at the end of the day, they're based. So anyway,
powerful.
How are you watching this, dude?
Motivated by the genuine fear they have of Islam, which is undoubtedly a major threat in many ways. AP's content then clearly serves all these agendas. And I know this because I've seen attempts by Christians to use me for their agendas as well, with many Christians reaching out to praise me for leaving Islam while simultaneously asking me to accept Jesus as my savior.
Trying to get people to agree with you? Oh, what an awful idea. Everyone should become atheists to avoid this.
And Christianity has the same lack of evidence for its truth as Islam.
Could it be secular spirit? This is your cynical attitude. I had Christians from the very beginning message me and follow me and so on, and praise and say, "What have you looked into Christianity?" and so on. Your perspective or your opinion of this is that they are simply trying to use you. Have you tried being less cynical about it and think maybe from a different perspective about it, which is that those Christians genuinely care about the truth of Christianity and actually see you leaving Islam as a very good step, but also want you to complete in their opinion, the steps and go toward Christianity, which would make you better, would be would save you from the Christian perspective, and also be a plus for Christians and Christianity in general. Why do you have to be so cynical about it?
Yeah, it is interesting to see different perspectives on this, because there are lots of atheists who think like this. It's like, oh my goodness, they're trying to manipulate me into believing. No, maybe they actually are concerned for you, and if they believe that you can have a relationship with Jesus that you don't have now, maybe they just want what's best for you, and you can think, well, maybe they're wrong, but okay, are they evil, or do they just want what's best for you? So why would you be mad, even if you disagreed with someone and you thought their belief was stupid? Why would you be angry at someone who, at the end of the day, has what they regard as your best interest at heart? You know what's cool about this? Penn Jillette from Penn and Teller?
No.
You don't know him? He's a magician, but they're both atheists and stuff. And they have
they
had a show making
fun. I don't care about magicians.
Hang on. He said something cool. So it's Penn. He's an atheist, and they had a show making fun of Christianity and stuff like this.
Cool atheist.
But he actually said, I have no respect for Christians who don't try to preach to me. He said, if you're a Christian and you believe that this is actually important stuff and that there's a future judgment and that I'm going to be judged, if you don't preach to me, like what level of hatred do you have for me? If you're just going to let me go along and not believe and stuff like that. And so it's actually a different perspective. It's like, hey, if you're a Christian, you believe that you love other people and seek what's best, and you believe that they can have an eternal relationship and so on with God, how would you not be preaching that? Versus this guy, oh, they're just trying to control us. Oh boy!
Hey, did you see this? Anyway, I don't want to talk about that right now. But this just reminded me of Ben Shapiro, who basically also said something about this. Which is why I've always appreciated Ben Shapiro's perspective as well. Who said something like if you say Christ is king to me, I'm actually happy that you are concerned with my salvation. It's like, and you should be saying this. And I would like more people to say it and to take their religion more seriously. Just don't misuse it to attack me or something like that.
Yep.
Which is the perspective. Like I've had forever, even when I was at my worst points, and I did in the past say things that Christians might consider very disrespectful toward Christianity.
Yeah, very rude. Christian.
But I've always maintained that if you, for example, say God bless you, I pray for you, and so on, that this is that I appreciate it, because I think that this is an inherently very good thing. Why would I be outraged about? Why would I be angry about it? It's a good. You mean very well. Mm-hmm. That's what matters to me. And this guy's very cynical about it.
Yeah, and along those lines, like if a Muslim preaches to us and says, "Hey guys, you need to believe in one God and believe that Muhammad is his prophet and follow Muhammad and stuff, because this is important stuff," we don't get mad over that. We get ticked off. You're saying, "Hey, I'm gonna kill you and subjugate the world. I'm gonna bang a bunch of little kids." We get mad at that stuff because this is pure evil. But if you're a Muslim and you believe that this is true, why it makes sense that you would try and preach it to us. Just like it makes sense if you think that atheism is the salvation of humanity and so on. Of course you'd say it, even if you sound like a complete idiot like this guy. So it's I don't know. It's just weird, man. It's just weird that you don't have that basic level of common sense, man.
Anyway, let's rock to these super chats now.
But that's atheism for you.
And then we will watch the rest of the video until it's all done. Wait, okay. Joseph Baum, enjoy both you guys. David, Alex won the debate. Alex tried to get you by asking, why did Jesus have to pray to raise Lazarus? Miss Jesus did not pray to raise the widow's son, nor did he have to pray to raise synagogue worker's daughter. I haven't watched the debate, so I can say, but David probably also didn't see it, so he probably doesn't know who won. But
and just have to point out, nothing you're saying had anything to do with my case.
Powerful. That answers the question. Musty season prayers from Ireland. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. And prayers to Ireland. Agnostics waiting by the maybe mass tree for perhaps clause to leave presents on perchance miss. God bless you, AP. Praying for your journey. Hi, David. Good. Thank you. Iconodule says, please correct this man with mercy, AP. He knows not what he does. Thank you. That's a good reminder.
We are
merciful. Christian Theologetics. I'm here. What did I miss? Nothing. Intrinsic distinctives at the best of Muslims are ex-Muslim Habibi. Yes. Abraham Harb, you ever notice that revert rhymes with pervert? It does. Eric Barlow, revert thought it was pervert. You learn something new every day. Yeah,
That's true.
So AP is a revert to Christianity in actuality. Yes. Just a dude says, worship only the Trinity. God, don't pray to Mary, angels, or saints. Don't tell me what to do, man. Don't tell me what to do. Do not tell me what to do. Rick Newton says, don't make me shower you with kindness. I will. Elijah Pity, in Secular Spirits post section, you can see what Dillahanty had to say about you, basically saying to be wary of ex-Muslims, AP making ex-Muslims look bad. What? Where?
What's that in the comments? In the comments on that video?
Let me see in the comments. Where? What do you mean what Matt Dillahanty said about me? You see what Matt Dillahanty said about you, basically. Do you think you mean somebody quoted him in the comments, or did he comment there? I don't really know. Was it?
Apostate Aladdin commented. He said,
I don't care about Apostate Aladdin.
All I can add is that I cannot believe something just because it would be nice. I don't know how he does it.
Really? OMG. How does he do it?
Oh, you got multiple comments from Apostate Aladdin. Maybe these guys are partners. Hang on.
He's very concerned.
You assume that he spent all the time exploring atheism and spirituality. Maybe he did, and none of them resonated with him. But maybe he was overwhelmed with only one flavor of that through his proximity with David Wood. That's why he became catechumen, just like David Wood.
This is so funny how they're speculating about my journey.
Isn't it weird that they're like dude?
Despite the fact that I've made it very transparent,
and it's also like, I mean, guys, you believe you've got what, 70, 80 years maybe or something like that. I mean, you guys are already grown. So you've got like what, 40 years, 50 years or something like this. Like, and you guys are like, let's spend every waking moment obsessed with what everyone believes in the world and complaining and whining about it. And it's like, all right, what? That's how you want to spend your lives? And we're the ones who are free from religion, even though we spend every waking moment complaining about it.
Here's actually something fair. He didn't call all Muslims parasites. He called them murderers parasites.
That's true.
At least listener, with 41 likes, at least the listeners. Yeah, I agree that soundbite isn't the most damning on its own. I mean, how did these people realize it? But it shows bad faith and disqualifies the rest of the video. Yeah. Yes, exactly. How did this guy include that part as evidence that I call Muslims parasites? It's just so dishonest and ridiculous.
It's pretty bad.
I'm a Christian, but I agree that the public space should be secular. What kind of a Christian are you? What kind of Christian are you? Let's see. Your gang betray your gang. Yes. Anyway,
can't find anything by Dillahanty. I've been scrolling.
Even Jake the Metaphysical had said that your wife was threatening you. Remember, you see, Christians are threatening. Coffee House Dialogue, and they accuse us of a persecution complex. LOL. David Stewart, welcome to the church, brother. Thank you. So happy for you. If this was not a true church, why would so many feel the need to attack it? You could make lots of arguments there, but thank you. Isa Kabir, what's up, Isa? You have every right to have a journey, any journey you choose. Thank you. Appreciate that. Always loved that about you, Isa. Jonathan Romero, hi, Daily Wire and Associated Press. I just finished Nabil's book and am reading the book of Quran and Musab's book. I want to make videos sharing my thoughts, but I'm a tad nervous stepping in front of the camera. Any advice? Just do it. Drink a bottle of whiskey and then get in front of the camera and record. Just kidding. Just do it. Try it. Do it. It'll work. It'll work out. If you trust yourself, if you think you can do something good, it'll work. I sound like those nerds. If you just put your mind to it, you can do anything. No, you can't. Sean Winter, hey guys, hope you're well. Have you guys heard about the Christian priest who was sacked by the church after criticizing Starmer? P.S. Jesus is Lord. I haven't heard of any such priest. Have you heard of that, David?
Wouldn't surprise me, though.
Paul said he's Palestinian, so he really doesn't like you and David Wood. Oh yeah. Oh, I forgot about that. This guy's a Palestinian ex-Muslim.
It's Palestinian.
That's kind of funny. Yeah. So he's from Egypt. Cool. Mr. Man Dude said, "Look at this dude and his bookshelf. Utterly ridiculous."
What kind of dork sits in front of a bookshelf for videos?
Leox Dole United, bring them home. Not religious, but support to you. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. I appreciate that, and I wish you all the best and your people. Unicorn 1620. His channel name's abbreviation is SS. Just stating the obvious.
Yes, he's saying, see.
Bunch of
He's
Nazis.
admitting it. It's like when Elon gave the Nazi salute.
Muslim to atheist to mere Christian. What's up with the rosary? Asking for a Catholic friend. I pray the rosary sometimes, especially if I want to, because I'm very I like Catholicism, and it was my first exploration of Christianity, and I felt a very, very deep connection to Mother Mary, and I like the Orthodox Church, but I still have much love for Catholicism. That's that. Belisarius Varelinsky. Atheism does not exist by itself. It is the active inversion of the specific religion it opposes. Also, Lily J is a Mossad agent. We know she is. And this is true. Loaves of bread support ex-Muslim Bosch Faustin Pigman comic. Do so. He does a comic series now called Pigman. It seems very interesting. Knows too much. The Islamic Zionist Dilemma by Quran 17 104 521 1093 28 56 7137. Allah is a Zionist. Anti-Zionist Muslims insult their own God. Thoughts? David, you love this topic, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, you've actually got the Quran saying that Allah gave Jews authority to execute judgments in the land. And so the question would be, what land is that? Is it A, China, B, Australia, C, Canada, or D, Israel? So, yeah, Allah's a Zionist.
Powerful.
Big Zionist.
John the Presbyter. I like when atheists say they proselytize because they're concerned about Christians wasting their lives, but don't tell your rational Fedora to shave his neckbeard and stop being chronically online.
Yeah, total hypocrites.
Hypocrites. D. Bourgeois, I don't believe anything is new about atheism. I also don't believe that atheism is responsible for the influx of Islam. I blame that on the myth of multiculturalism as a utopia. I largely agree that it is very much about stupid ideas of multiculturalism and all that. It's very much the Cold War had lots to do with it, with how America built alliances during the Cold War and interferences. It has to do with secularization and all that. But you could say that atheism is a factor somewhere there. That said, I agree with you to an extent, and in fact, I would say that Christians. That Christianity or Christians also have something to do with the fact that the Western world got so put the guard down and started inviting masses of Muslims and others. And I would say that especially in Europe, it was very often Christian people who tried to push the idea of being endlessly tolerant as Christians and endlessly compassionate and allowing everybody in and letting them rape us and so on. So it's not just purely about atheism. It is a variety of multiple factors.
Yeah, it would be a collection of factors, but you kind of look at the big picture, and it's basically for 14 centuries Christians seem to understand do not let this ideology take over, because you don't come back from that. So Christians seem to understand that. Then towards the end of the 20th century, everyone seems to lose that idea. But the point is, it coincides with mass secularization, and part of mass secularization is Christians stop taking Christianity so seriously. And so you need to back off that and just focus on being nice and loving and not on taking anything seriously. And yes, atheists were a part of that. But yeah, so once you do away with the idea that you should take Christianity seriously, and that you should instead just focus on showing how nice you are and showing the world that you don't take your belief terribly seriously, something that's, hey, we're going to conquer you and take you over, and you just have to be just tolerant of that because you're not allowed to be intolerant, because that would be you don't want intolerance associated with Christianity. Guess what? You can't stop Islam. Then you can't. You need a population that takes something very seriously, that can stand against Islam. Europe used to have that. Europe no longer has that. Well, not in Western Europe.
Giovanni Garcia, David, I finally went to church for the first time today. Baptist. I was already Christian, but I never took that step until today. Why did you go to Baptist church? You have to go to the true church.
Wait, you were already a Christian, but you never went to church in your entire life? I mean, it's good because it's better late than never and stuff like that. But no, that's good.
Nice. Well
very
done.
based. Very based. Let us know what you think.
Eli, thank you so much.
Eli
Shamoon, thank you so much, Eli. Great job, David, as always, on the debate in Matthew 16:17, when Peter confessed Jesus as the Son of the living God. Jesus responded that it wasn't flesh in blood, but by my Father to see, believe, accept, and confess Jesus is a miracle within itself. Love you both. Thank you so much, Eli. This is the first time that I see him actually post an elaborate message with his super chat. Normally it's just love you both. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Eli. Very, very much appreciate it. Thank you. Paolo Lungaro, it's a turf fight. He wants to dethrone AP.
Yeah, they've been trying that for a while. They've been trying that for a while, and they still can't figure it out. And it's like, come on, guys.
Dr. Kotz, well up. If Christianity is inherently shirk and therefore unforgivable, how do ex-Christian reverts like Sneeko believe they'll go to Jannah? Well, there is a kind of a funny thing about it being unforgivable, but then you can just repent and die. So, knows too much. Burl Katznelson's speech on the insanity of far leftists from 1936 is very relevant today. Note, he was a Zionist leader from the left, Labor himself. I know about that guy. I, in fact, recently found out like a few months ago or so. Knows too much. Part 1. To them, an alliance of Jews is wrong and reactionary, but an alliance with Islamic fanaticism is a progressive, popular front. Oh, yeah. This is the guy, right? To them, an alliance of Jews. So this is a Zionist leader who is criticizing who is criticizing the naive, stupid leftism and progressivism among the early Zionist movement back then. And he says, to them, an alliance of Jews is wrong and reactionary, but an alliance with Islamic fanaticism is a progressive, popular front. Is there a people whose children have reached such a distortion, intellectual and spiritual, that all their people do, their creations and suffering, are despised and loathed, while all their enemies do, every robbery, murder, rape, fills their heart with admiration and devotion? He will be infected with germs of self-hatred. He will become so deranged that he will see social redemption in the Palestinian Nazis. It's kind of sad because this perfectly describes not just the hardcore leftist Zionist people back then, but also lots of leftist Jews in Israel and around the world today. It's really, really messed up. There are certain Jewish currents that are the primary ones who are harming Israel and the Jewish people by basically loathing fellow Jews and collaborating with whatever attacks them, including the Islamists. It's really, really messed up. Garbled Word says, is there a psychological term or logical fallacy that is defined by assuming that you are being paid for your opinion, especially by Mossad? There should be. Sahih Christian, David Wood, I underestimated your knowledge of the Bible. AO has now exposed his argument. You were phenomenal. AO is no pushover and you gave a good defense. Powerful. You see. Daryl, covers unite. Do so. Nina, ex-Muslim said at one point you turned fish-shaped because you hate the gays, therefore you're a bigot, therefore Christian, paraphrasing, but I've seen it.
That's funny.
Interesting.
Hey, I'm thirsty. My cup is empty. I'll be right back.
No, you can't. Flipper, please pray for my dolphin sisters in Pakistan. Pray for the dolphin sisters. Dawa Troll, AP won't revert to Islam for decades. Supply of Dihia's lotion and my super chats. So I thought it was a better deal than Christians. Caleb Perkins, AP, hey brother, praying for the safety for both you and your family. Jesus never fails, and I know he's going to use you to do great things. I appreciate that very, very much. Very, 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 very much. Domo, you see, AP has left Islam and is now a cat human in the Orthodox Church. He has been cursed by Allah. All ham to Lila. Man, no one. Good job with the debate earlier. Thank you. Thank you. I was really good against Alex O'Connor in the debate. Where can I see Avery crush Alex? You can see it on David Wood's channel. Hunter Verdon, a super chat since I'm gullible Christian and you're an atheist mastermind manipulating me. After all, it's impossible. Your conversion is genuine. There you go. There you go. Perfect explanation, man. Michaela Medina. Hey, fellas, what do you think Jesus would have to say about the many denominations of Christianity in the modern era? I want to answer this once we are back. If I give my very honest opinion on this, I'll just have a bunch of people angry at me. But yeah, I would say that as a learner and a student and a layman who in no way intends to influence Christian thought and church and all that, I would say that it is probably very much a feature of Christianity that there are different perspectives and different churches, and that I think, in my opinion, it doesn't really resonate with the message of Jesus to see people fighting and saying we are correct and all others are wrong and we'll go to hell or something. So that's my view. Joel Evers, another live stream with Apostate Poppy and Diddley Wood. Take beer. I'll be going to Turkey in late April till May to visit the 7 churches from Revelations 2 and 3. Gobble, gobble, and God bless, fine man. Be careful there and watch out, and always cover your behind when you're walking around in Turkey. Cheryl R., as a Christian who has been a member for 5 years, all I can say is that your approach to exposing Islam has been outstanding. It's no wonder SS fails. Thank you so much, Cheryl. I appreciate that very much. And yes, we are very much anti-SS here. Thank you. Garbled words. Did you see the Burmawi repost of Sam Amin, the Muslim dev buying American property, gloating about using kafirs to exploit our laws to spread Sharia? I haven't seen that. We'll have to catch up with all of this. Cheryl, as a non-denominational Christian who is brought to tears of joy at the thought of you becoming a Katie. Now I'm saying it like a joke because of David and all the others who are turning it into a joke. A catechumen in the Eastern Orthodox Church. Hugs. Now back to watching y'all on my TV. Thank you. I appreciate that very, very much. It means a lot. Thank you. Thank you, Cheryl. I appreciate that. And it's a great pleasure. Kane Corso mom, ex-Muslim on Frat said you have to be harsh with Muslims.
What?
Beast! Beast!
No, you have to be as nice as possible.
Beast!
If you're mean, then you'll drive them away.
Hey, David, here's a quick question for you. If you could answer in one word. Hey, fellas, what do you think Jesus would have to say about the many denominations of Christianity in the modern era? What's your one-word response?
Beast. No. He did say by this all men will know that you're my disciples if you love one another. So I'm not opposed to different denominations. In fact, Paul, as long as there's an underlying unity, seemed to be fine with people having different views on all kinds of different topics, and he said let each one be convinced in his own mind. So that would be fine, but you should be characterized by still having love for each other. And once it goes beyond that, and it's just my own group and everyone else is the enemy, then that's when I think there's a problem.
Powerful. That's exactly what I said. Edgar Bond, David Wood, may I suggest you read into Gödel's incompleteness theorem and its philosophical consequences on religion? It pretty much gives a somewhat amazing hint of a God while also proving that pure atheism ends in contradiction. David probably has never heard of Gödel's incompleteness theorem.
Well, I haven't. Well, if I have, I don't remember it. It's possible that I've heard of it 90 times and just don't remember it. But I will check it out.
Nice. Holy Joe says, AP, a reunification between Catholic and Orthodox could involve several compromises. Do you think there may be a compromise on the canon expanding? This is a very, very important question. You should also ask me why what I think and how I suggest the Catholic and Orthodox Church solve the disagreement on the Filioque and the Immaculate Conception. I'm kidding. I mean, I would have personal opinions on all of these things, but why would you ask me this now and ask me to publicly take a stand? I don't want to publicly concern myself with this very much. I have my personal opinions on this, and all that, and I wish to see unity, at least in communion, in a way. But that's all I can say about it. Beatrice Nunes, how much to make AP an evangelical Christian? $500,000.
You heard it. Go fund me, everyone. Go fund me.
Yeah, I mean, if you want me to follow your specific denomination, you have to pay that much money. So it's not easy, man. Thank you, Beatrice. Thank you, Beatrice, for asking that. Susan Lee, I don't trust a grown man who color coordinates his bookshelves. I mean, it's not that bad, is it? It goes here from this to white and here from red to white.
That's why I didn't even notice. He arranged not by topic, but by color of the books. Oh, man. I don't know how I didn't notice that earlier. That is funny, man.
I was very based. When I arranged my bookshelf, my little bookshelf here, which is still waiting to be replaced by a huge bookshelf, I arranged it by different topics like Islam, Nazi stuff, and so on. That's how you're supposed to do it. Like I have a full section of Nazi books, for example. Look at all these Nazi books here. Like I have one section. I immediately, as soon as I want to get a book about Nazi stuff here, like Hitler's Table Talk, Inside the Third Reich, Eichmann Interrogated, The Aryan Jesus, The Goebbels Diaries, and I have Mein Kampf somewhere there, and so on. This is how you do it, man. This is how you do it.
That's what they do.
Anyway, yeah. Fine, AP. You're allowed to make content with David Wood for now.
Thank you. Thank you. You've got the permission.
Giovanni Garcia, fear didn't go to Christ because I fear him, but because I felt his love above all. That is very powerful. I can say similar things. Ethan Denan, hell is the mess we make of our own lives. Christ saves us from ourselves more than anything else. Amen. Rick Newton says these type of atheists are self-righteous liars, so full of themselves and will not admit the truth or fact like Richard Dawkins. No proof changes. That's right. That's right. Rick Newton, SS is mad you don't believe like him. Really sad. I know. This is what the SS does. D. Boudreau, I'm super happy that both Atheist Republic and Terry Sultan have been very supportive of you, AP, as I have worked with both. That would have been an issue for me, but these guys are great people and I am really relieved. And I appreciate, D, that you are here and that you are also supportive, because I know that you have been here from the very beginning and I appreciate you very, very much. And I'm always happy to see you. I actually very quickly get familiarize myself with familiar names here that are in our chat and so on, and feel a close appreciation to everyone. So I know that you and this channel and you and I would go back very, very far, and I'm very happy that you are still here. Rick Newton, AP, we appreciate you as you are, not for beliefs. Oh no, you're supposed to appreciate me for my beliefs. How dare you?
Yeah.
Ironic tone to topic, AP's conversion, add our Jewish stuff. Love it. And praise God for AP's decision to follow Jesus Christ. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. And finally, Christian Gadfly. Stop, AP. Christianity looks good now, but you'll have to give up urinating on one another. Don't do it. That is a concern, but yeah.
That's the main concern.
It is. It is. Not gonna lie, I get emotional listening to AP confess Christ as Lord, said ironic tone. It is pretty emotional, isn't it? Banning gas, but be the change you want to see. Very good. Very, very nice. Anyway, I'm going to continue watching this now so that David can...
Are you kidding me?
Something that AP undoubtedly understands. If you oppose these people's agendas in your content, they will unsubscribe. They won't tune into your live streams. They'll stop giving you super chats, and they'll withdraw from your Patreon.
And then you'll eventually be like me.
Could it also be, SS, that I simply do not feel the same way about Christianity and Christians as you do? Because in the past, I did indeed, on occasion, when people ask me what I don't like about Christianity, say certain things that I don't like about Christianity. When they ask me whether I think Christianity is true or not, I said I don't think it's true. And I express why I don't think it's true. When people ask me to engage with certain people to learn more about Christianity, I have even on occasion spoken a little bit disparagingly about some people, and so on. Nevertheless, my Christian audience just kept growing because I've never been, really terrible, and probably don't share your views on these things. I don't know. Why do you want me to be just like you, SS?
Isn't it weird? It's like you've got these guys and they leave
Which
Islam.
one is the cult, SS? Which one is the cult?
Yeah. Think about it. These guys leave Islam. Oh, Islam, it tries to control what we believe and says everyone has to agree with it. Now we're free from that. Okay, what are you going to do now? I am here to proclaim everyone has to agree with me, and we must go around and bother everyone who doesn't agree with us. It's like you have the exact same psychology. You just switched camps from one cult to another. SS.
So there's definitely an incentive.
This guy's like really slow.
Used by those groups to stay on their side.
Huh. I was wondering how quickly we would get through it if you watched it like that.
Then there's a second explanation for AP's hypocrisy, an explanation I think is much more likely the case after watching AP explain why he's converting.
I know that atheism might work out for lots of people. Every human is different. I know that it might work out for lots of people. There are lots of people out there who might be like, oh yeah, I'm an atheist, I'm totally cool, totally fine, and all that. I don't really, I would say for myself, honestly, it wasn't necessarily always the best way of living. I would say, especially over the last year, I was kind of on a path of self-destruction and depression and complete nihilism. So living a life of an atheist doesn't really lead anywhere. In the end, you just die anyway. If the whole world all exists for no
you know what's funny?
bigger purpose, no greater purpose, all of existence is just going to exist and at some point cease existing. If then in the middle of this, right? If in the middle of this, religion is true, or Christianity is true, you could add some great purpose to your life and live a meaningful, great life. Believing that Christianity is true is actually a better way to look at the world than believing that there is no God and atheism is the correct analysis. What would be so bad about simply choosing to live a Christian life, for example, if the Christian life is going to look better for you? For me, I would say, after many years of consideration, looking at a Christian life seemed to be a much better option for me. It's a much better option. How long is he going to play this clip? I was going to make it play until I ask you what you want to say, but anyway, go ahead, David.
Oh, I was just going to say, I mean, this guy seems like he watches a lot of you, so it's just funny. Like he's whining about you, but he's kind of proving the point that people would rather watch you.
I think this is what he does every night. Like he just when he's done with his day, he gets a drink and then sits down and watches AP. That's what he does. And that's a much happier option. It's a much more it's an option with much more serenity, with much more meaning, instead of the whole the void and the hopelessness, the nothingness.
As you can see, this second explanation is simple, really. It very well could just be he has a blind spot when it comes to Christianity. Consider how he notes the wondrous empathy from the Old Testament here.
Why did you just play this clip just to say that I have a blind spot for Christianity? This is so. What was the point of playing this entire clip, of playing all that? I don't know, man. Did you include this section just to propagate Christianity for me, or like, but do it like secretly, while pretending to be against? I don't even get it. That's so weird, so strange. I maintain the same position, and in fact, I could add something to it, which is that consider that in your life, consider that you are an atheist, and in your perspective, there is no God, and in your perspective, no religion is true. And in your perspective, all there is to it is this life, and there is no ultimate ultimate inherent meaning. If you're going to argue that there is ultimate inherent meaning, you would have to establish that, and you can't. Don't even try me. You can establish meaning for yourself, and I agree with that. However, you have to agree that there is no other meaning imposed on us or designed by somebody else. You would have to then agree that there is something outside this reality. If then in this world, where you can, in an atheistic worldview, continue and build meaning for yourself on your own, what exactly would be so wrong with simply going for the Christian way, for example, if the Christian way makes you happy and leads you to living a good life? I'm totally arguing right now for living a Christian life if you want to in an atheistic worldview. And I'm very serious about it. You can be an atheist, and as an atheist, there should be nothing wrong with accepting that somebody in an atheistic worldview could also technically adopt a Christian life and live as a Christian, because there is nothing wrong with it. If it makes you a better person, if it gives you meaning in your life, what's wrong with it? Nothing. If we are all going to die in the end, and this is all there is, and if somebody wants to be a Christian in this life, what's wrong with that? Why do you have a problem with me choosing Christianity, for example, here, if that's what makes me happy? Maybe I'm still pretending to be a Christian, and I'm actually an atheist, but I just choose Christianity because it makes me feel better. What's wrong with it?
Yeah. Why don't you want AP to feel good? You want him to feel miserable like you?
You see? Which is in Exodus 23:9, which says, "Do not oppress a foreigner. You yourselves know how it feels to be foreigners, because you were foreigners in Egypt." It's just something that kind of amazed me about this, coming from an Islamic perspective, and then reading this in the Bible, is like this is not a sentiment that you find in Islam. It doesn't just say here, "Oh, then treat foreigners well." This here, to me, was the most important aspect of this verse. It doesn't just say, "Do not oppress foreigners." It doesn't just say, "You are also foreigners." It says, "You yourselves know how it feels to be foreigners." This is very, there's a lot of empathy here for a text from so long ago, for a religious text, long before the Quran, which has no ounce and no sense of empathy, to be honest.
Same Old Testament where God says, "In the cities of the nations, the Lord your God is giving you as an inheritance. Do not leave alive anything that breathes. Completely destroy them, the Hittites, Amorites, Canaanites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites, as the Lord your God has commanded you."
Gee, we never heard that before 7,400 times. You always come up with these deep original thoughts.
SS, you completely missed the point here. I even highlighted here and talked about it, and you even played the whole clip, and you still missed the point here.
Still don't get the point.
My entire point in bringing up a passage like Exodus 23:9 was not to highlight that the passage says, "Do not oppress foreigners." It is how it explains it, how it makes the point, and how it draws attention to a very, very deep aspect here, which is you yourselves know how it feels to be foreigners. Therefore, do not oppress a foreigner among you. You yourselves were foreigners in Egypt. You know exactly how it feels. This is the aspect and the entire point of it, that it emphasizes empathy in a religious book. Now you come to here and say, "Oh, but the religious book also says, kill the Hittites and the Amorites and the Canaanites and the Perizzites and the Hivites and the Jebusites." Okay, yes, it does say that. And in fact, if you want to look at it, I'm not going to make any excuses here. The passages here are very much that God is leading his people, and he has given to his people the land of Israel, which whose borders are drawn out. And in the land are currently living people who have forever engaged in horrible activities and horrible sin and so on. So God leads his people and tells his people to go now and to get rid of these populations. In fact, it's so bad here, which is that with certain other populations, the Israelites are still given the option to offer them peace. With these, there is not even the option of peace. God just tells them, go there and kill them. That's it. Kill them and take the land. This land it belongs to you. If this was if this was today, I would say this is very, very problematic. If this was a general command in the Quran and it continued like that, I would say this is very problematic. This is in the Torah, and I honestly don't consider it extremely problematic. I mean, it is something that is difficult to deal with and difficult to grasp and all of that. It is, however, a completely different situation. Number one, first I want to go to it with the Christian perspective. The Christian perspective is that these are old times where in the Torah, in the Pentateuch, you have God and the prophets engaging in certain things that are outright forbidden in Christianity, or outright forbidden even in Judaism, in the Jewish law later on. But in the Torah, certain things are done within the context of the time and are then dealt with in order to reach a certain state for the Israelites. Later on, these things are abolished and no longer allowed. The Christian perspective would be that these things were things of their time that were necessary, that whose mysteries are with God, and so on. But we now have a covenant which we abide by which we don't go around massacring people and so on. But when God did it back then, it had its reasons. These are, however, not commands that apply today. See, here is the difference with Islam, between Islam and Christianity, for example. In Islam, you will have passages in the Quran which also command Muslims to go and fight and subjugate and kill populations, and those commands still apply today because Islam doesn't just abolish those things. Islam continues to command these things. These populations, according to the narratives, were engaged in very, very sick practices, which is why God punishes them ultimately and then is done with it and moves on. In the Christian perspective, we have the Christian covenant, and none of this applies to you anyway. This is only history. Now, here is the Jewish perspective, however, which is very, very interesting as well. Even in the Jewish perspective, these passages here are not general commands that apply to all mankind for all times. These are not general commands that apply to the Israelites for all times. This is actually an established system of laws which you can find in the Talmud that serves as commentary on this stuff. So this command here, which is about eradicating these populations, is called herem in Jewish law. I think it means extermination or something like that, where Israelites are told to wage a certain extermination war against a certain population that engages in human sacrifice, for example. Here, the Jewish law is that these were commands that were only applied in the time when God was directly with his people, sending revelations to his people, where the Israelites had the land, the Israelites had a king appointed to them, and God was directly giving them commands. These are the standards that have to be established. In today's time, we cannot have a land where we have a king where God is directly with us, giving us commands. Therefore, we cannot carry out such laws. They don't apply. These are matters that were only applicable in the time of the Torah. This is the Jewish perspective. So the Christian perspective would be the most harmless here in relation to these verses. The Jewish perspective would be the second most harmless, and even that one clearly says that this does not apply to today's times. This is a very, very complicated and lengthy explanation to the verse that you have just brought up here. Just to point out one thing, which is you are bringing this up in comparison to Islam and only showing that you don't really have an understanding of the very scripture that you're quoting, which is why you should probably come to the conclusion that the problem here is not that I have a blind spot and that I don't see that the Bible is just as bad as the Quran. The problem here is that you don't understand what you're reading.
Because you're stupid.
Or because he doesn't, he hasn't studied it.
No, yeah, I don't think he's stupid. I think he's in a cult and that brainwashes him to think in a certain way. But hey, Pete, notice, because this is a recurring thing, right? The atheists who used to complain about you focusing on Islam, the idea was, no, you have to be equally opposed to Christianity and so on. And here, what's in this guy's mindset? It's, oh, Christianity is it's the same. Like you sound like you sound like an idiot when you think like that, and yet it's the same thing that keeps coming up all the time, and it's kind of a serious problem, dude. You need to understand, Islam is in its own category. Hinduism is not like it. Buddhism is not like it. Judaism is not like it. Christianity is not like it. Atheism is not like it. Islam is something different. It calls for the violent subjugation of the entire world, and it's a serious problem. And guess what? It makes perfect sense for someone to say, especially an apostate, it makes perfect sense to say, I got a problem with this that I don't necessarily have with everything else. And so, no, it's the same thing, and you have a blind spot. Okay, dude, it's impossible to take you seriously. It was impossible to take you seriously after you're like, and AP, how dare he call Muslims parasites? It was impossible to take you seriously after that, but you're not helping yourself, dude.
Yeah. SS, if you want to inform yourself better on these things, maybe you should just read and study this kind of stuff before you spout garbage.
I did. I read the new atheist manual that told me what to do. You see. I read the new atheist script. I read the Dawkins script.
La la la.
You got the Dawa script and the Dawkins script.
Anyway, let's continue this video.
Oh my goodness.
As an inheritance, do not leave alive anything that breathes. Completely destroy them. The Hittites, Amorites, Canaanites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites, as the Lord your God has commanded you. But how is it possible that this blind spot could exist in someone who has been actively engaged in exploring spirituality and atheism for
because he's not stupid?
Great sadness for AP when he talks about his experiences of depression and self-destruction, how he believes that the life of an atheist doesn't lead anywhere.
This is so slimy, man.
Yeah,
this
man.
is like,
yeah. How does he not know that atheism leads to science and to greatness and to the scientific utopia that we're all working on?
This is like a movie villain putting on a poorly acted moment of obvious emotional manipulation, which just doesn't work with people like me. This is so slimy, man. What is this?
It's pretty bad.
Yeah. Oh, I feel sad for him. I actually feel sad.
I feel sad for this guy for making crap videos. Bore everyone to death.
Argues, in the end, there is no greater purpose, and you just cease to exist. I can relate to those feelings myself. For years after leaving Islam,
You had to zoom in with that effect to make it.
Yeah, you had to zoom in and
what's the point? What's the point of my life, of anything? Why do I even exist? I think there's a choice that all of us wrestle with to some extent throughout our lives. Do we want to face the world and all its suffering with truth and honesty, or would we rather hide from those realities and comfort ourselves in fantasies and wishful thinking?
Hold on. Because here's what I don't get. Like, from an atheist perspective, all this talk about like moral values that people have to follow and so on, that's all delusional. If you took it seriously, and I'm saying this exactly. See, what's his name? SS. When I was growing up, I came to the same thoughts that you eventually came to, that, religion is dumb and it's just, people told you to believe this stuff and so on. But I didn't stop there. I concluded the exact same thing as with things like don't kill or respect people's rights and so on. It's just something you were taught your entire life. So I would have looked at you in the exact same way I would have looked at a devout Muslim or a devout Christian. You're just believing a bunch of stuff you were told. That's exactly what you sound like when, oh my goodness, what about killing? What is there in your world? What is there in atheism would tell you not to slaughter the entire planet? Like what? I literally have no clue. What I see from atheists is, if I bring that up, people like you would suddenly get emotional. What kind of monster would it do? It's like, defend your point. A Muslim could have the exact same reaction if you say, oh, why would you believe this nonsense? Why don't you become an atheist? Oh, what kind of monster would not believe in God? Somehow you see the problem if a Christian or a Muslim were saying that, and you don't realize it's like you have this huge blind spot.
The funniest thing about all of this is
Huge
that
blind spot
for
about your own
years,
beliefs.
for years, I have openly admitted that I don't think that there is a greater purpose, and I think that it is a sad reality, which is that we all just exist, and we are all just going to die and cease existing, and so on, and that's just all there is. And within all of this, it's just you can make your own meaning to it or whatever. This is just all there is. That's what it is. That's all it is, and so on. And I openly admitted that kind of stuff. And I also openly explained how I came to Christianity. So,
yeah, and here's the thing, and he still doesn't get it because he has this massive blind spot because he's in a cult. But I think he's I was kind of born without being terribly concerned about being in danger or dying or something like that. I'm not an atheist because I don't believe it's true. I don't believe it's true. It's not, oh, this would make me feel good if I believed in this or something like that. I don't believe it's true. I believe it's too empty to be an accurate reflection of reality. There's too much in reality that is not accounted for.
Just admit you chose Sky Daddy because they couldn't find anything. See?
Yeah, there's too much going on in the world for atheism to be any sort of real explanation. But as far as the blind spot, I mean, think about this. Oh, and maybe it makes you feel good if you think that there's some point. And dude, literally every single value that is part of your thinking right now, I could say the exact same. What does this make you feel good that there's that there's some meaning in your life? And does it make you feel good like that you're doing something important and that you're making the world a better place? It's all delusional, dude. That's all. It's in the same category from a genuinely atheistic, naturalistic perspective. All of that. Let me put it this way. Some sort of moral value that is hovering out there somewhere. It's not, you don't find it with a microscope. You don't find it with a telescope. Where is it? Where is the command, do not murder? Where is that? It's something in your head that someone put there, right? What's the status of it? Why would you actually have to honor that command? Like what? It's some sort of value. I would say that if you think there is some sort of immaterial command out there that you have to obey, that people are obligated to obey, that is every bit as miraculous as saying someone rose from the dead. Every bit as miraculous. And if you're going to say no evidence for the resurrection, guess what? What is your evidence for thou shalt not murder? What is your evidence for that? Show us your scientific proof for thou shalt not murder. You can't, dude.
He will say that it's a utilitarian thing to do if you murder.
Why should you care about utility? Why? Do you have a moral obligation?
Because you don't want to end up in a world of chaos. That's why.
If you want to say, so guess what? You prefer just living in a world without chaos, which means you're just doing it for pragmatic reasons. If you're just doing things for pragmatic reasons, why would you be opposed to someone saying, I believe in Christianity because it makes me feel good and I think it makes me better?
Exactly. That's exactly.
He's got a blind spot because he's in a cult.
Really good person. The universe will give you that dream job or a soulmate.
How are you still watching this, man?
Afterlife with your parents.
It's like torture.
That stake. Atheism for yourself, a final destination. It's wait. And this is the same mistake that other ex-Muslims who converted to Christianity, like Ayaan Hirsi Ali, have made. Atheism is not a final destination.
Final
it's the first
destination.
Step through a door to find meaning in life for yourself.
Meaning?
Define it.
Oh, will it make you better to think that there's meaning in life?
Religion says built on a morality and limited understanding of the world.
This is so stupid. Who is this guy preaching to? I have said forever that atheism is not a set of beliefs. It's not a certain it simply means that you don't believe in God. Within atheism, then if you are in a state of atheism, meaning you reject the existence of God, you can within this develop all kinds of different philosophical ideas and so on. You can be an existentialist, you can be a nihilist, you can be utilitarian, you can adopt all kinds of different worldviews, adopt certain ethics and a certain meaning for yourself. You can bake all kinds of things together and so on. I have forever maintained the very same idea, and yet here he is sitting and preaching this as if I had been under the delusion that atheism is supposed to be a belief system and a final destination. Who are you preaching to, man?
Yeah, I can verify that has been AP's position because he's only said it like 487 million times. But yeah, dude, that's what's amazing. Atheism is not a foundation for anything. You have to get something from somewhere else. You could, to be clear, you could be the absolute hands down nicest person on the planet and be an atheist. You could be the absolute worst person on the planet and be an atheist, and there would not be anything within atheism that tells you to be one of those or the other. There's no foundation for being one of those or the other. In other ideologies that have some sort of foundation or content to them, they would tell you not to be like this and tell you you should be like this. There's nothing in atheism that tells you to be one way or another. So the point is, you have no foundation to be opposed to pretty much anything, right? In other words, if you're going to be opposed to mass murder, you could just as easily be opposed to being as nice as possible. There's nothing in there that tells you to be one way versus another. So everything's just basically what? Personal preference or something like that? I don't know, dude. This guy's terrible.
Okay, I just want to see this guy's conclusion here. Repercussions of AP's conversion.
The repercussions. Think about the impact on the world. The world is going to fall apart now.
Conversion. And speaking more broadly of Christianity's influence in spaces where Islam is criticized.
Islam.
Here's my objective in this space. If I highlight the problems of Islam, the lack of evidence for its truth, some Muslims will leave the faith.
It might sound like I'm nitpicking here, but SS, why are you doing that? Why do you still do the whole Islamic thing? You don't have to say Islam. You're speaking English, man.
You got to say it, man. You got to say. And when people revert to Islam,
you're speaking English. Why are you saying Islam? Why are you putting on the Arabic? Why are you doing Arab voice? Why are you doing Muslim voice? I would understand if I would understand you doing Muslim voice if you were a Muslim and you were trying to act like an Arab. Why are you doing Muslim voice, speaking to English-speaking people, trying to speak to English-speaking people, and you're doing Islam? Why are you doing that, man? That's so stupid.
Because Apostate Aladdin does it, so I'm going to do the same.
Islam. I could also say Islam. I could say Ahadith, the Ahadith, and the Quran.
And we could talk. And when we talk about Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him,
we're speaking English, man. In English, it is not called Islam. It is called Islam. It's not called Ahadith. It's called the Hadiths. It's not called the Al-Quran. It's called the Quran. Why do you have to do this? It's so ridiculous.
Faith through their own choice, not through coercion. And that's the only practical way that Islam's influence will decrease in the world. Not through oppressive restrictions like hijab or mosque bans, or by just deporting Muslim immigrants.
I think this dude's an undercover Muslim man.
For the hearts and minds of the 2 billion Muslims in the world. And when Muslims see criticism of their religion online, they're already going to have their defenses up. When they see the criticism coming from Christians, they're going to question the motivations of Christians to have.
So this is what you're concerned about. Okay,
this is like the worst thing I've ever seen in my entire life, man.
This is so low effort.
I'm trying to think of a worse video that I've seen.
This is so low. This is worse than Apostate Aladdin.
This is beyond cringe. Yeah, I mean, dude, Apostate Aladdin is like the Shakespeare of video makers compared to this guy.
This was so bad.
This is the worst thing I've ever seen.
I want to go through all the super dude of a final position on the whole conversion to Christianity thing. But yeah, what?
Oh, I just wanted to see. I mean, I thought like watching an Ali Dawah video was bad, but Ali Dawah is like, I mean, gosh, I would rather watch it. I would rather watch 20 Ali Dawah videos than watch another one of this guy's videos.
Here's what I ultimately think about your video, SS. It is 25 minutes of pure waste of time. 25 minutes of extremely disgustingly pretentious, arrogant, patronizing, ignorant, and also honestly dishonest nonsense put on a plate with such low effort. It's worse than eating your meal at McDonald's. It's like it's so bad, man. At least McDonald's tastes good.
Yeah. Oh yeah, McDonald's is way better than that dude's videos.
Yeah, it's low effort. It is
cringe.
cringe. It is arrogance. It is patronizing. It is so stupid, man.
And I mean, isn't it amazing? Like these guys think they're the deep thinkers of the world and so on. I'm not talking about atheists. I'm talking about these guys. So
We're the ones that are right, and everyone else is wrong. And let me try to examine everything psychologically and just sound like an idiot the entire time because
this is purely
no
low
experience with
effort.
reality.
This is low effort content. It's like this is like keeping up with the Kardashians.
Except without a bunch of hot Kardashians.
This is such low effort. And the SS and people like him will probably look at this like, oh, he has some very, very interesting thoughts. None of this is interesting thought. This is so poor, so poorly done. Like this is stuff that I think that I would think about if I had brain damage. Anyway. Rick Newton, yes, as an ex-atheist who almost committed suicide, I have zero proof of Jesus saving me miraculously and completely changed my life for 23 years now. I'm very happy for you, Rick. Very happy for you.
But Rick, you need to stop looking for your sky daddy and just become an atheist because you're a religion tart if you don't.
That comment you just put up about Reddit, I've never even been on Reddit. Just what I've heard about the atheist group there, that's exactly what I was thinking. Isn't this like a video version of what I hear about Reddit atheists?
Pretty much. Fox McCloud, and why is it that all of he's kind of like okay, I don't want to compare him to that. That would be very, very bad. I was almost going to compare him to Hassan Piker, but that would be almost a crime. Fox McCloud, and why is it that of all the religions at the time condoned slavery, and why is that out of all the religion at the time condoned slavery, yet Christians actively fought against it? Well, because Christians had problems. They were just childish. They were like, oh, we don't want slavery. We don't want slavery.
Yeah, guys, I want to be clear because we are all aware of this. You had Christians who owned slaves and so on. So it's not like
no way.
It's not like Christianity comes along and then all the world's problems are fixed and you get a utopia. That's not. It's more like you inject certain ideas into the system and then you get progress. People start recognizing things that aren't what they should be, and you end up with a system of progress. This goes back to Old Testament, just injecting the idea that all human beings are created in the image of God, injecting that idea into the system. And then, as AP's pointing out, when you have an idea like, think about your own experience and what this was like, and that other people are having that same experience, and take that into consideration when you're deciding how to treat them. In other words, an early version of the golden rule, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. When you start injecting those ideas, you end up with a world where people are making progress. And when you remove those ideas, guess what? Things start breaking down, which is what you are seeing all around you.
Not to be confused with golden shower, which is what you get in Islam. With
you get a golden shower. How about you get a golden shower?
I wake at dawn, it's 5 a.m. I'm praying on my knees. 5 times a day I bow my head to Allah's grand decrees. Got 99 names running through my brain. I chant them loud and shrill. From 1114 chapters, I plot my way to give the West a thrill.
Yeah!
With my AK-47, I dream 24/7. 722 virgins when I'm 25 and gone. I'll trade this life for paradise in an AK-69 surprise. A jihad jukebox singing my victory song. I see them infidels dancing free in their unholy glow. Sipping whiskey, loving sin where Sharia don't go. On 9/11.
Wait. Sorry, that's going too far. That went too far right there.
Just imagine a Muslim tuning in and hearing that. He would be so offended that he goes out and slaughters 1 million people in the name of Allah. And it didn't have to be that way. Because we atheists, we understand how people think, and we are the world's leading authorities on everyone. But we just can't figure out how to get anyone to listen to us because we're completely out of touch with reality for some reason.
Anyway, yes. Phila Steve says, I have been thinking about the incredible amount of deception that permeates the world. We need to commit it to truth wherever it leads us. I agree with that. I agree with that. I agree with that 100%. Jesse says, so reverting to Islam would mean going back to born into sin, nature, and nurturing an evil, secular spirit of evil, worldly ways. Exactly. That's right. That's right. You got that right. Got that right. Michelle Marie, what's up, Michelle? Happy birthday, David. You did an excellent
Michelle,
job witnessing exegesis to Alex. Stay awesome, brother. Also, all praise to and glory be to God for you, Redvan, for becoming our new brother in Christ. Thank you. I appreciate it very, very much.
but I have to point out, Michelle, the,
Hey,
day
happy
before,
birthday, David.
the day before my birthday is not my birthday.
Happy birthday, David. Happy birthday to you.
Not my birthday.
Happy birthday to you.
Wrong
Happy
day.
birthday, oh David.
Not my
Happy birthday
nope,
to you.
not my birthday.
Well, she said it's your birthday, so who am I going to believe, her? You?
Hey, it's not my birthday.
D. Badru, what do you guys think about the affirmation of blood libel against Jews in the Roman Catholic Church? The affirmation of blood. There was an affirmation of blood libel against Jews in the Catholic Church in history, historically speaking, which has been basically changed and rejected and condemned. And the Catholic Church now has very strict policy against it, and also has adopted that these are false accusations and so on. That said, in the past there were canonizations or beatifications or whatever it's called in the Catholic Church. Is it called the canonization in the Catholic Church as well?
You don't even know. Look at
Of
he's ignorant.
saints,
He converted, yet he's ignorant.
of saints who were supposedly killed by Jews in a blood event or something like that, where the Catholic Church now basically has the position that these are not actual events, yet the canonization of the saints remains as real. So in the past, the churches held certain positions that are not necessarily fantastic and that are not necessarily based in reality.
You said
And they're not necessarily based. They're making up for these things now, which is good to see. Which is good to see. Which is good to see. Which is very, very good to see. But yeah, there were past accusations that were pretty bad. Any such accusation, which historically was known as a blood libel, of Jews supposedly abducting people and then draining their blood to use their blood to bake in for matzah breads on Passover, is based on vile inventions of stories created to simply vilify those people who don't want to convert to Christianity. So they have been debunked. They were vile. They led to mass killings. And there was even popularly, I forgot what his name is, but there was a priest in Ukraine over the last century who made great effort, an Orthodox Christian priest who made great effort in convincing those who still fall for such a thing that these blood libels are lies, and that in Jewish law it is explicitly forbidden to consume blood, let alone to kill people and use it for matzah. It's just ridiculous. Yeah. Foxbeck Cloud, former slave trader John Newton, who wrote the hymn Amazing Grace. John Newton, a former slave trader who later became a prominent abolitionist, contributed significantly to the movement. There you go, in your face, David.
I'm Fox McCloud of the Clan McCloud, and I'm immortal.
In your face, David. Chloe L., what's your views on Freemasons? Oh, boy.
What?
What? I tend to be very honest with my takes on certain things that people don't like. Thank you, Chloe. First off, glad to see you here. I watched an interview where the guy said it was Satanism, pedophilia at its core. I can't look at any Mason or Mason symbol on an old building the same way since. Well, here's what I'm going to tell you from everything that I have found and seen and read and concluded, which is that there is it's a very, very difficult thing because there are huge conspiracy theories in the world about Freemasons. I would say that the vast majority of conspiracy theories about Freemasons are complete nonsense. Here's the thing: the Freemasonry ideology or movement organizations are, a little bit ridiculous. The foremost thing that I find a little bit disturbing and really messed up from a religious perspective, from a Christian perspective, even, would be that if you want to become a Freemason, you have to basically believe in a creator, and they usually say that you have to believe in God or a higher being, but it actually takes a shape when you go to, when they talk about what that higher being is, and it's like the great architect, the maker who makes all things. But then it's basically a gathering where all people who believe in a higher being come together and basically pretend to believe in the very same God under one name, and so on, which is already extremely problematic, no matter what religion you approach it from. It's a very, very problematic perspective to look at things, and just reeks of heresy and occultism.
I just wanted to say, because there are certain things I've never studied. Freemasonry is one of them, and so I normally don't give my perspective on things that I haven't really studied. However, I do want to point out I was locked up with a guy who was the son of a guy who initiates the higher level stuff. And what this guy that I was locked up with said to me was, most of it is a big social club until you get to higher levels and you get deeper into stuff, and then it starts getting really, really messed up. I cannot confirm or deny that. I'm just saying that's the one thing that I've heard. And he was supposedly a guy whose father was important. For most people who are in it, it's basically a social club type thing. And then if you get deeper into it, he said it starts getting really, really messed up with some messed up stuff that you're doing.
Yeah, the funny thing is that when you look at people who actually went into Freemasonry, there's something very funny that you see, which is that lots of people go into it and then quickly get bored and eventually leave it, or some people just stay with it for social purposes and so on, because it has this whole mystery about it, which is what makes it kind of appealing to some people. But you go into it, and it's basically just a boring gathering that you go to on a regular basis with a bunch of other weirdos, where you stand around and basically give each other support and learn certain things and go through certain ranks and so on. And the thing is, lots of people also did some good things as part of that, because it basically teaches people to establish, self-sufficiency and making the world a better place and so on. But that said, it's just it is very problematic on different levels. So, long story short, much of the conspiracy theories are very, very much based on hearsay. There is nothing concrete. However, it's also just a very weird club that has lost its old relevance and is, from a religious perspective, very problematic. That's all I can say about it. Paolo Longaro, didn't Christian ministry pretty much end slavery in America? Did it, David? As a Christian, what is your unbiased opinion on this?
You had the abolitionist movement was by a bunch of Christians. With that said, there were Christians who defended slavery and so on. I think there's a reason that the abolitionist movement kept arising in various places and kept springing up and so on. I think you do have ideas in Christianity that cause you to see a problem with treating people in certain ways, and so that will, as much as you can be raised to believe that this practice is fine, there will be a tension. There'll be a tension within Christianity about that issue. There's something in there that's saying this is not the way things should be, and you need to actually fix it. And so, yeah, it was a bunch of abolitionists. Again, I pointed out 2/3 of the abolitionists in the U.S. in the 1800s were actual clergy. They're actual like pastors and so on.
You see, the Jews are behind my conversion to Christianity.
They did. I was there. We went to Israel. And they said,
we will give you this amount of money.
Yeah, it's basically, so Jews offered me a deal and said, we will give you this much money if you convert to Christianity.
Here's the proof. Shekels.
And I said, of course, wait, how much money? And they said, beep, this much money. And I was like, oh, well, okay, how can I reject this? And here you can see it.
Booyah.
New
We
shekels.
got all the shekels, ladies and gentlemen. We got all the shekels. It's raining shekels over here.
Jews made me convert to Christianity.
Mm-hmm. They said
Boy.
what they said was, AP, we want you to convert to. We will give you all the shekels if you convert to Christianity and then read the Schofield Bible and become a dispensationalist and a Zionist, and you convince other Christians. You convince other Christians to be Zionist, and
if you don't believe it,
distribute the Schofield Bible.
Here's the proof.
Proof. You see, we got the shekels, we got the shekels, we got the Schofield. What else? Do you I don't know what else do you want? 700 videos coming out tomorrow. See, this is the proof.
Alhamdulillah. Didn't Christian ministry? Yes. Captain Blowfly said, please make a poll in the chat and ask in the belief. Don't you like to know? I'm curious. Peace out.
That would be good. What would you identify as? Christian?
I actually wanted to make a
atheist,
poll
Jew
for my channel in general.
What are you, a Jew?
What are you? What
are you? A Jew?
Christian, Jewish, atheist, and other. Okay, how about that? Okay. Atheist, agnostic, and other. Okay, how about that? I specifically listed only Christian, Jewish, and atheist because I don't care about the others.
Hey, you should say, what are you, Christian or loser? That'd be funny.
All right, I made the poll. Enemy of Allah and his Rasul. Hey, what's up, Enemy of Allah and his Rasul? That's awesome, man. Arctic-based, AP's grift has finally been exposed, you see?
You got exposed by sacred, whatever. What is it?
Mother Hulda says,
what was the channel called? Sacred what?
I don't know. Kind of new to this corner or YouTube, says Mother Hulda. David, what's your testimony? Could you give a brief overview or do you have it in another video? Says Mother Hulda.
It's in a video. Look up David Wood. I don't know what it's called. Look up David Wood testimony. It should pop up, I guess. Yeah, I've got a video.
Why I was unclean.
Let me see what pops up if I type in David Wood testimony.
Cheryl R. said, by the way, if there are any atheists left in here, yes, we Christians do want you to have a relationship with the God of the universe, but it's because we're commanded to love you, not to hate. Very based.
Ah, yes. My video now is titled How God Destroyed My Atheism, but if you type in David Wood testimony, it'll pop up. I'm in a train looking super based, just so you know.
Alex, you're not in a train. You're literally sitting in your room. We can see the bookshelf behind you. Don't be ridiculous. Alex Kali, what about Mithra and Krishna, Horus, Dionysus? They all have the same or similar story as Yesushe, rest after 3 days, born of a virgin, and so on. Did you really seriously just present this age-old myth?
Are you serious? This is a problem
from Zeitgeist.
Yeah,
this is debunked nonsense.
Yeah, and my goodness, dude, try looking something up that isn't on a terrible crap website. All of this is idiotic nonsense. I'll give you an example of what they do, the parallel. So Mithras is born of a rock. And so what do? They say, well, the rock didn't have sex, so the rock is a virgin. Oh, look, you got the virgin birth too. Do you understand how stupid that is to anyone who actually looks into it?
Yes.
So anyway, yeah, Mithras sprang out of a rock. The rock didn't have sex with anyone. So they say, you see, Mithras is born of a virgin. Rock. We won't say that part. Stop embarrassing yourself. Seriously, Alex, look something up. If you believe guess what? All of us believe things that are wrong along the way. But to come up here and say, what about this? And you're stating it as if this is accurate information, which means you've never for a second looked into it critically.
You know what I find actually very, very interesting? I know people like to bash AI, but certain AI developments are actually doing very, very good stuff. For example, I love testing new questions. Look at this. Horus Jesus. Search Labs AI overview. The idea that Jesus is a copy or reconstitution of the Egyptian god Horus is a common claim, often used to discredit Christianity, but it's based on a misunderstanding of both figures and their respective mythologies. And then it breaks it down.
Hey, I recommend everyone watch it. It's on Lutheran Satire, but it's called Horus Ruins Christmas, and it goes through all the actual information about Horus for people who believe this nonsense.
So there is a lot
Horus
of
actually
ways,
shows up. 'Tis I, Horus.
there's lots of ways you can inform yourself nowadays if you just want to spend like 2 seconds looking into it.
No, it's too hard. It's too hard to do research. It's easier just to believe in complete nonsense.
You see? Isa Kabir, David is such a cool guy. Why do these folks always critique the relationship between Apostate Prophet and David? Like he's some kind of bad influence. Well, he is a bad influence, but that's not the point. You know?
Yeah, by the way, isn't that interesting? So you had all the people who are like, for years, telling us, oh, you shouldn't be doing shows together. Everyone has to be separate. And we're thinking, how are we not like a good example of, hey, we have different views, but we can actually work together, do shows together, respond to things we both disagree with. Like, what's the problem here? And you got people who lose their minds and it's like, oh, it's a bad influence because he disagrees with us. Isa has always got the cool ideas. By the way, Isa, matter of fact, I should message him because maybe he's not watching right now or he's on break or something like that. But Isa, you mentioned, doing something together on what the Quran says about the Bible. And I do think that is a good idea, but we're in the process of actually going through it. So, yeah, if you want to have any discussions along the way, that's cool. But probably like 4 or 5 months from now is when I will have, when I will be able to say I know everything in every verse in the Quran that talks about things, and I've gone through the commentaries and so on. So it'll be fun then. But yeah, along the way, if you want to jump into a live stream and have discussions on particular things as we're going through them, that'd be cool. And we can do a debate eventually.
Boost.
Oh, okay, cool. Isa's still here, so that's good. He heard it.
Oh, there's an IP video coming up when you Google this. That's funny.
What? On what?
That's what people were saying.
What?
I didn't see that. Jesus versus Horus. 781,000 views from 8 years ago.
Huh. That was back in the day when there was way less competition. You posted something that people are looking up. You were the only place to go.
Boost.
Come on. Watch like the first few seconds of Horus Ruined Christmas.
The Egyptian god Horus.
Was Jesus based?
Yes,
yeah,
it was.
Jesus is based on the Egyptian god Horus. Many mysticists claim Jesus never existed. It was just a copy of the deity Horus. They claim there are several parallels which prove this.
You hear that beat though?
Such as Horus was.
No, I'm playing music that he probably
Copyright.
licensed for his stuff, and now you're gonna get us shut down here.
Thanks a lot.
Thank
Inspiring
you.
philosophy.
Thank you, David.
More like inspiring copyright strikes. Type in Horus Ruins Christmas and watch like the first couple seconds.
No. I see Tovia Singer finally got to David. Yeah, he did. Tarun Taj, hey guys.
Earlier when I had my yarmulke on.
This guy seems stupid. I'm back. Anyway, why do you think vegans act just like the food version of Muslims? Also, your favorite meat, both. Yeah, here's Tarun Taj again with his vegan stuff.
Yeah.
It's getting out of hand.
Steak, Tarun. Steak.
Steak is pretty good.
A properly cooked, medium rare ribeye steak is pretty much the best food in the world.
We were just talking about conspiracy theories, about blood libels and all of that. And here's David Wood admitting that he likes to eat rabbis. What's wrong with you, man?
Tarun is like, but what about wheatgrass soup with wheatgrass sauce?
You see?
Marion Renter, what's up, Marion? So David Wood is giving me fresh Jew of Bel Air vibes.
Oh yeah, because that's how Will Smith would wear one if he wore one.
Paul says in secular spirits community tab you see Dillahunty. Oh, it is community tab. Now gotta check that out. Gabriel Valencia says, hey, David, after your debate, why do you still believe in sky power? David, what do you have to say for yourself?
I don't know. It's just weird.
Tarun Taj, you got hate from Muslims for being ex-Muslim, from atheists for being ex-atheist. Just wait and become a vegan for just a month, and then see what you will get from vegans.
He's got a point. And matter of fact, we can't stand vegans so much that if we became vegans, we would like just attack ourselves. All day.
Wait, what? Wait, what? Wait a minute, what? Where is Matt Dillahunty? Okay, I gotta check this out quickly here. What's going on here?
$10 from Etienne. Looking forward to a great show. My recommendation for a potential guest host, Secular Spirit, a Palestinian Canadian ex-Muslim who does a lot of good content criticizing Islam and Christianity. Cool. I'm unfamiliar with that person. I will say that we have a pretty bad track.
We all are, Matt. We all
with,
are.
Ex-Muslims, because Ayaan Hirsi Ali has now adopted Christianity, not because there's any evidence for it, but because she's married to a Christian. She's a conservative in think tanks.
Got to be something else,
she
right?
finds that Christianity would be more effective in combating Islam than atheism is. So she's found her club, but no evidence or justification for a God. They have a very different way of looking at religion. And then you've got Apostate Prophet, who I think has been on this show, but I know we've done shows. We had conversations.
Not on this show. I was on Atheist Experience together.
Matt Dillahunty lies about Apostate Prophet.
Produces tons of great anti-Muslim, anti-Islam.
What? He just accused me of producing great anti-Muslim content.
Yeah, imagine if someone like Secular Spirit hears that, how offended he will be. And think of Apostate Aladdin. If you talked about AP's offensive material towards Islam, think about how that would make these guys feel.
He just praised me for producing great anti-Muslim content.
Exactly what the other guys condemn you for.
We have to hear that again.
I think has been on this show, but I know we've done shows. We had conversations. Produces tons of great anti-Muslim, anti-Islam, not anti-Muslim, anti-Islam content.
Anti-Muslim. I mean, anti-Islam.
Man, that's funny. That is funny.
And has been helpful. We've had conversations. He's now a Christian, which, by the way, I predicted ages ago.
What?
Because he's been running around and spending all his time with Christians.
This is why you can't be around Christians.
But I think he acknowledged that it's completely a faith-based thing and not evidence. So
wait, he predicted this ages ago? When? While he was before I was together with him on Atheist Experience? This is weird.
It is, by the way, it is funny. It's like,
This is why you have to not be around Christians, because they will influence you.
it's like, what are you worried about? If atheism's so strong and you guys are all super based and you know how to be skeptics and stuff, why are you guys so worried that people are going to turn to the dark side?
Yeah,
it's almost like deep down you think your ideology is really weak and you have to keep people separate, which that sounds exactly like a cult, Matt. Anyway, sorry about that.
Yeah, Matt, I would suggest that you don't work with that you don't invite and work with Secular Spirit, because there is a great risk of ex-Muslims always converting to Christianity.
Yeah. Gotta be careful.
I'm less interested in ex-Muslims than I am current skeptics. I don't care that you found your way out of one religion. I care that you care about what's true and that you are willing to focus on finding out what's true, and that you're not willing to accept something as a matter of convenience or for personal benefit. Because what they've said is absolutely a case of caring more about what's comfortable and beneficial than what's true. Which is why you probably won't see a debate between us. Because they got no game, or not they got no game, because they got
no game.
You ain't got no game.
You got no game.
You ain't got no game.
You got no game. I'm
Ron
right
hates
here.
the player.
You got no
game. They ain't got no game. Christians ain't got no game.
Y'all got no game.
We got the
here.
game.
You got
Atheists, we got the game. In your faith.
You got no game. But is he just challenging me to a debate here?
Sorry, Matt.
Did he just challenge? Did he
The
just?
new atheism is crumbling. You had your time.
Did you just implicitly challenge me to a debate here? Is that what he did? Is that what you is? Are you challenging me to a debate right now? Because I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to debate you. Oh yeah,
we're not going to debate. We're going to humiliate you.
No case. So sorry, I wordled that in my head.
Wordled that? He's funny.
Well, Okay, it wasn't that bad. At least he praised me for making great anti-Muslim content.
Yes, thanks for shout out, Matt.
I'm gonna like this video. Okay, good. Or maybe not. Okay. All right. Well, Apostate Prophet's poisoning of the well for ex-Muslims has already begun. I don't think you understand what the phrase poisoning the well means, secular spirit. But you don't know much outside of that either, so I'm not surprised. A friend of the channel told me that someone recently recommended me as an ex-Muslim guest on The Line, Matt Dillahunty's call-in show. Dillahunty, a prominent atheist, said he didn't know of me. Well, he does now. And then proceeded to basically say, you have to be wary of ex-Muslims, and mentioned A.M., Hursi Ali, and Apostate Prophet as examples of ex-Muslims who have concerningly converted to Christianity. What a shame, because many ex-Muslims care about reason and truth. And they would never just trade one harmful faith for another. But this is sadly how human nature often works. We associate groups of people with their most famous members for better. Secular spirit, you didn't even understand what Matt Dillahunty said here. And I'm not surprised by it. And to be honest, it wasn't that easy to understand what he actually meant, but I'm going to help you understand what he meant. What Matt Dillahunty meant here when he said that he's not interested in ex-Muslims, but in current skeptics, is not that he is not interested in ex-Muslim individuals who are skeptics, but rather that he is not interested in them for the sake of them being ex-Muslims. He's rather interested in simply people being skeptics. So whether they're ex-Muslims or not is irrelevant to him. He is still interested in you, secular spirit. Don't cry. Don't cry. Don't blame me. He's still interested in you if you are a good skeptic. So maybe you should contact him. He's just not interested in your ex-Muslim aspects. He's not interested in what religion you come from. That's what his whole point was, secular spirit. Don't be sad.
And if you can't deal with that secular spirit, you have our full permission to cry me a river.
Cry me a river. Cry me a river.
That's a good song about the Ukraine war. Yeah.
Crimea.
Abraham Harp, here's my attempt at poetry better than Momo's. A pedo in a cave made a claim that Gabriel called him by name. No proof he could show, just a huge trust me, bro. And Dihya ended up making him lame.
when you're talking about Gabriel and stuff like that, I was like, this better ultimately be something about Dihya, and yep, you nailed it.
Because if it's not about Dihya, then you got no game, man. You got no game.
Yeah, you nailed it. Not the way Dihya nailed it, but you nailed it.
Giovanni Garcia, well, David, I only took the leap to accept Christ a few years back from watching your testimony, so thank you for that. But I never went to church because I always had some sorry, convenient excuse. I couldn't do that today.
Hey, Giovanni, just so you know, when I became a Christian, it was. I mean, this was in jail, but it was a while before I started going to church, like a while, because I'm just I've got my Bible and so on, and is eventually like looking at, hey, you're not supposed to neglect fellowship with other believers and stuff, that I eventually started going. But yeah, so yeah, it didn't take years, but yeah, I understand.
Lebby Orthodox says, where? Do you admit that CP is the best Islam debater? No.
No, I would say hands down Sam Shamoon.
Yeah, I would say Sam Shamoon is better. Cloud Logic is better. Better. That's what I would say. Yeah.
With that said, on Islamic topics, CP is a total beast, and definitely one of the top few in the world.
Yeah. Theo, I see you shaved half of your mustache. Are you wearing mismatching shoes too now that you're a Christian? No, this has nothing to do with that. This is because I'm thinking of going to Poland soon. Yeah. That's so messed up if you get it. Steve Sinide said, thoughts on Yogananda's view of Jesus and the NT. Who is Yogananda?
No idea who that is, therefore have no thoughts on it.
Yogananda? That sounds like
some yoga channel.
What the heck is this? Indian American monk and yogi.
But the people, that's the only
Paramahansa Yogananda was an Indian and American Hindu monk, yogi, and yogurt guru. No, it doesn't say yogurt, it just says guru. Who introduced millions to meditation. I don't really care about his views. So but thank you. Peace be upon me says AP is so obsessed with Nazis. What is wrong with you?
Good point. Person's got a point.
Arctic based, no more super chats for AP. Yeah, stop with the super chat, everybody.
Yeah.
Emmanuel of Christ says, Ape, I used to watch you as atheist, and as a Muslim, I was led to hate you. Now that I returned to Christ, I commend you and am quite happy for you and your marriage. God bless your journey. Thank you. I appreciate that very, very much. It means a lot. Thank you. Emmanuel O. Christ. What does that mean? What does that mean, David? You know everything. And us, this, no, Elijah means God with us, right? That's what Muhammad Hijab said. Why are you laughing? N.A. Odessa said, Astaghfir Osmos, AP. As a self-proclaimed free thinker, I'm shocked that you would think freely. Absolutely disappointing.
Yes, don't you know that if you're a real free thinker, you can only believe what we say?
Arctic-based. If this goes on for much longer, we're all going to die. You are going to die. This is why I'm going to turn the video back on in a little bit to continue the rest. Eddie Garcia says, about time, AP. Just kidding. Welcome home, brother. Thank you very, very much, Eddie. Govan says, you guys watch The Believer yet? It stars our boy Ryan Gosling. Free here at YouTube. FYI, it starts with a mysterious verse. What's The Believer? What's The Believer?
No idea.
What's The Believer?
But it's got the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem in it.
In it? In it? In it? Interesting. David Newhart, thank you so much, David. Harry Serpano says Swiss Hadron Collider invalidating supersymmetry validates the Christian and finely tuned universe, controlled by the uncreated energies of God. That's very discombobulating. Holy Joe says a special jizya for Sheikh Dawood's birthday. Oh, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you. The Ghost Officer says, God bless you guys. Wait a minute, I have to take a drink. Oh, our poll says so far 80% Christian, 5% Jewish, 8% atheist agnostic, 6% other. This is kind of funny. There was a time when atheists made up like 30% of my audience here. That's very funny. Ben West, Surah 489 commands Minecrafting apostates. Calling Muslim converts reverts implies that everyone was Muslim at birth. Therefore, every non-Muslim is an apostate, so their blood is halal.
There are Muslim commentators who interpret 480, and you can interpret 489 that way because it talks about attacking them if they turn their backs. But I have to
Minecrafting.
To be fair, there are other interpretations of that. It's not clear what it means by turning their back. Is it like turning their back away from the religion or turning back to hostility towards the Ummah or something like that? So, yeah, but at the end of the day, you have commands directly from Muhammad about killing apostates. And so, yeah, saying that all people are ex-Muslims. Fortunately, even Muslims don't interpret it that way, which, they could piece that together pretty easily. Everyone's an ex-Muslim. But, yeah, fortunately, they have not gone on a killing spree over that. They always find other reasons to go on a killing spree.
Anyway, but here's the thing. Jack Ray says, happy birthday, David Wood. We know how much you like accurate birthday. Congratulations now. Thank you. David Newhart, I'm starting to think some of these ex-Muslims are secretly still Muslims. Well, here's the thing, that they might adopt some things from the Islamic worldview, but are not necessarily, secret or anything like that. So that's what happens. Anyway, here's the thing. Is that your new catchphrase? Yes, it is. I just said here's the thing for the last few super chats just to work up to this super chat here. See what I did? Joe Potato, the battle hymn of the Republic, was written during the U.S. Civil War to push for abolition. As he died to make men holy, let us die to make men free. Hey,
Glory, glory, hallelujah.
Ren says, Ren became a YouTube member. Welcome to the club. Welcome to. I heard Soft Talk is Mossad Zionist agent, and every super
Makes
chat he
sense.
gets goes to produce a Jewish Schofield reference Quran. Do you know anything about it? It is true.
Sounds very plausible.
Sounds very sound. Sound is very sound. Hey, I just kind of found a picture of the Ummah. You want to see a picture of the Ummah?
What? The entire Ummah?
Yeah, the Ummah.
How's that the Ummah?
It's Ummah, man. It's
Oh.
Ummah Thurman
Ummah Thurman.
wearing a niqab. See?
That's grok, man. I see it in the corner.
No, it's not.
It is pretty funny.
It's not funny at all.
Guys, get it? There's the Ummah. And so there's Ummah Thurman, and then he's like, let me put her in a burqa with grok.
See? What's so funny? What a ridiculous show. Christopher Fiera Mosca said, AP, I'm in the same situation you were. Sorry, I'm in the same situation Asian you were. Jaded toward faith due to very bad experiences. And when I try to take it seriously, lust and study, it fried me. What do you recommend to reignite faith? I think for every person, it goes differently. At this point, I feel it's very difficult for me to recommend a certain, path for other people to go. But listen to a few things. David, what's your recommendation? And what does the chat recommend for Christopher Fiera Mosca? David, what do you recommend?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I'd say check out the Gospels, Christopher.
That's a very good starting point. Check out the Gospels. Read the Gospels. Start with the Gospel of John.
No.
That's my recommendation.
Go Mark, then John.
Fine.
Mark is shorter. It's short and fast paced. And they go John.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that's true.
And here's another recommendation: C.S. Lewis's Mere Christianity. Very nice book.
Yes. Oh, and if you want to talk about C.S. Lewis, something I told AP about Screw Tape Letters. That's because Screw Tape Letters is just like a really fun book. It's a demon writing another demon letters on how to tempt a person, and it's hilarious and making awesome points, which is a good combination.
Powerful. Goifos says, did The Chosen influence your conversion? Also, you see season 5. It didn't influence it. I did start watching it though until season 4 or so, which it's very interesting to see.
I've still never seen 1 second of it, like not even in a YouTube clip.
You know what's funny? I was watching it as I was kind of reading and listening to the Gospels, and I decided to watch the show too, and to realize that it's actually a very good show, very well made. But I also realized that it's not for everyone and all that. And my wife was actually very opposed to watching it for the longest of time, especially despite her conversion. She was like, "I don't want to watch that. I don't want to. I don't think I like it," and so on. Then recently, we came across a video by some Orthodox guy reviewing it from an Orthodox perspective, and it convinced her to sit down and watch an episode. And she was actually very, very moved by it. So. And of course, we can acknowledge that it takes lots of liberties to interpret, to depict the story in different ways, but it delivers the message very nicely.
Yeah, I still want to find like a serious Muslim or two.
Yeah, Muslim.
Doesn't have to be terribly friendly, but someone who doesn't want to chop my head off. So a serious Muslim or two, and then a serious atheist or two, and actually just sit down and binge watch all of The Chosen, and then title it, I binge watched all of The Chosen with an atheist and a Muslim, our reaction. And that way you get all of our reactions, because again, I haven't seen any of it, but sadly, the supply of people who don't want to kill me is running thin. And we've got in the atheist community, apparently,
No, you can't sit down with David because maybe you'll convert. You have to be totally separate.
bunch of babies.
This totally based.
Christian Theologics. One time an atheist told me that Jesus was copied from Horus, then linked to 2 articles contradicting his claims.
That's the sort of funny thing that happens. They hear it and then they think it's true, and then you say nuh-uh, and they go, oh well, I'll just do a Google search. Look, here's an article on it, and the article's actually debunking it, but they're too dumb to actually read it.
Answering LDS says 1 Corinthians 10:9 is about the Israelites and implies that Christ was in the Old Testament, seeing as Israelites weren't attacked by serpents in the New Testament.
Yeah, you have multiple passages like that where Jesus is there in the Old Testament, and they're putting Jesus to the test in that verse. Yeah.
Powerful. Arctic Base says, when you read this super chat, I'm already fast asleep. Well played. The android sent by Cyber Live says, which Star Wars character would be a Christian? Good question. Christian Theologetics says, as if Matt actually cares about what's true. Matt Fred absolutely cares what's true, man. How dare you? I know you're talking about Matt Dillahunty. Mark H said, according to Shia, where is the Mahdi right now? In heaven, on earth, but asleep? No, he's in a state of, so according to the 12 for Shia, he's in occultation. He's currently in a hidden reality. He exists in our time, but he is in some hidden space that is unknowable and undiscoverable, and he will come among the humans once it is time. It's so stupid. They claimed that an imam who lived a long time ago was actually the Mahdi, but then the imam disappeared. He just died. But they say he disappeared and he went into occultation and he will come back and so on. It's basically what?
I'm going to go with Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Good.
Because I think, and I've only seen it like once when I was a kid, but I think he said something like, if you strike me down in anger, you'll make me more powerful than you can imagine, or something like this. And then he just stands there and lets Darth Vader take him out. But then he becomes this super powerful, supernatural force. So I go with that.
Well.
But that is some straight nerd stuff, Just that's some Mike. Go ask Mike Winger that.
You actually thought about this for an extended period of time and then answered the question.
I was trying to think because I know very limited amount.
I have never seen a nerdier person in my life. Jack Ray, remember it took two to divide Poland, and then they both had mustaches. It's a mustache conspiracy. Hey, that's true. That makes sense.
Got a point.
Huh. Literally BC Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. This is true. Both Stalin and Hitler had mustaches. There you go. It's the mustache.
Coincidence.
Secular spirit is energy vampire for vibes. This is true. That's what my wife said.
I was torture watching that stuff. Put it this way: if you walked up to me like later on, like I'm just in my house, and someone walked up to me and said, "David, you either have to watch this 20-minute secular spirit video or get punched in the face." I'd be like, it's not even an issue. Go ahead, punch me right now. I'm not going to watch that.
Beast. My mate is Islamic Jew. Told him he has a probe. Alex Cowley, do you think the similarities in themes like death and resurrection across these figures could point to a shared message, or not at all? I mean, the fact that these people are they are divine figures could also point to a similarity and shared message. You know? Anything.
And there are issues like human psychology and stuff, how we're made, but from like a Christian perspective, yeah, you were made by that, like God. So the saying is, we have eternity in our hearts. That's why we focus on these things.
You see. As an agnostic with favorable views to Christianity, I must say Matt acts as if he and his people are the only ones who have discovered and are in possession of the ultimate truth. That is the onset of intellectual cecity and dogma, says K. Caboose. Very, very true.
That is sort of a good, yeah, they become like dogmatic, which is supposedly what, free thinking is against, and yet they become some of the most dogmatic people in the world, and it's us versus them, and we're the smart ones and everyone else is stupid, and yeah, it's bad.
I find it funny that he actually pulled the, and you won't debate me. He won't debate me. How dare you? He actually he actually challenged me to a debate and said he won't debate me. Basically, when the topic wasn't even me, so it's kind of funny to me.
Basically.
Tante says, you're a perfect show to listen while in the gym, but please stop making me laugh. I just nearly dropped the weights. Oh, and happy birthday, David. Happy birthday to you.
Hey, you know what's funny?
What?
This was because like this just happened when I was on my on the flight back from a seminary I was speaking at, but like I was anyway, they mixed up my flight and stuff, and I was trying to get it fixed, and then a guy there who was also trying to get on the next flight, he's like, I know you from YouTube. So that sort of thing. People ask me, like, if people recognize me. But my favorite time ever that anyone recognized me was I was at the gym and I was walking out of the locker room, and some like 18-year-old was walking into the locker room, and he walks in and he goes like this. He's walking in and he goes, I'm watching you right now. And he held it up, but he was watching one of our live streams. I thought it was funny.
That's pretty base.
That was my favorite being recognized ever, was someone who was actually watching me when he recognized me.
It is totally based.
It was very based.
It is totally based. Sanke says, now that AP is a Christian, is his favorite Bible book still Ecclesiastes? What about in the New Testament? This is a good question. I have to think about this again. I did read Romans, and I really loved it. And I did read the Gospels, but I'm currently rereading them and all that. At this current stage, I would say it's still Ecclesiastes, but I'll see. Arshia Shahidi says, I recommend looking into viewing Marcus Aurelius' view of God and Pascal's gamble. Carl Jung's ideas on synchronicity, how the apostles testified for Jesus' resurrection despite knowing they would have died. That's his recommendation, not mine. So there you go. The Drink says, may you guys recommend any books on the documentation and reliability of the Bible as a whole. Thanks and love your content. David, what's your recommendation here?
Reliability of the Bible as a whole. I think you have to kind of go to different books for different parts, but there's plenty. Focus on historicity of various Old Testament events if you're looking for that sort of thing. But normally New Testament reliability and Old Testament reliability are focused on different issues. So
you see. Hey, how about this one? How about this, David?
What? that one's cooler. You got to share that, man.
So stupid. It's not even funny, man. It's not even funny.
Yo, if you really want to go really the important stuff is got a lot to do with the reliability of the historical reliability of the Gospels in terms of what they're talking about Jesus. So the classic one there is Richard Balcom, Jesus and the Eyewitnesses. So probably start with that, and then if you're interested in other parts of the Bible, go with that then.
That's right. That's about right. Cheryl said, happy birthday, David. Happy birthday, David. It's now the 7th in the Eastern time zone. Do we all need to bake cakes for a Monday night?
Okay. That makes sense. I wasn't even. Oh, yeah. It is my birthday. Hey, it is my birthday.
You see.
It's not my birthday.
It's your birthday now, you see.
Hey, it's my birthday.
But happy birthday, David. Rachel Zekovich says, happy brother, David. Happy brother, happy brother to you. Happy brother to you. AP gets your money, to God be the glory. Romans isn't for the faint of heart. Well done. Paul is based. It is indeed. It is a very, very solid book. Want to read that again?
Based.
Want to read that again one day. They want to do that again one day. Got to do that again. Okay. All right. Raisin Bread, ex-Muslim atheist, commenting in Secular Spirits videos on YouTube, whine about Christianity while enjoying the benefits of living in the West that was. Founded on Christian principles. I'm an ex-Muslim Christian, and I get why some ex-Muslims are angry. How to reach these people with gospel message. David, what's your recommendation for this?
You have to humiliate them.
What's your serious message, David?
Well, yeah, you probably want to address, but you kind of want to start by addressing what you're just talking about, raisin bread. Like, why are you so opposed to the ideology that gave rise to the civilization that you really like?
Why are you gay? Else, that's it. Okay. Happy birthday,
I mean,
David
for
Wood.
starters.
Happy birthday, David Wood said QWERTY Bath.
Thank you, and I'm not even offended now because it's actually my birthday.
Nice.
It was a dark and sexy night the day I was born.
What about this one?
It seems like the other one.
Hmm?
Seems
Yeah,
like
this
the other
one.
one. But
This
you need
one's
to go ahead and
better.
share it because those are funny. Yeah, that one's funnier. I
Okay.
don't know why. Yeah, share that.
Okay, this is gonna be the new image of the Ummah. I gotta defend the Ummah. Zayn said on behalf of Chad, happy birthday, Daily Wire. Yeah.
Thank you, Zane.
Happy birthday, Daily Wire. And finally, AD Azevedo, David Wire. What is your favorite movie of all time? Happy Wood Day.
Nice. Mad Max Fury Road.
Really?
Yeah, and I understand that people have different criteria and stuff. I like I like dystopic future movies. I like movies where there's not a lot of yap, and it's like really action based. I like massive long car chases, and the entire movie is one car chase. And yeah, so and I like stuff that's like really weird and mad scientist level. Like you think, how did this guy come up with this insane stuff? So yep, that just had the perfect combination of stuff.
That's like when you ask a 12-year-old boy what his favorite movie is, and he could
Mad
say
Max.
Transformers or Mad Max. You know? But anyway, we're not here to judge people. We're here to educate and humiliate them, you see.
That's what we're here. That's what we do.
Happy birthday, Dizzle. AP gets your super chat. That is based.
Nice.
That is based. I want to extend this video, extend this live stream, and ask everyone to make super chats to wish David Wood a happy birthday. Just kidding. All right, David. Anything else?
Nope.
Good. All right. Thanks, everybody. Bye. Are we doing something tomorrow?
I was thinking about it. I mean, I'm going to go out to dinner with my family and stuff like that, but I wouldn't. We mentioned maybe we'll just sit here and eat cake. I don't know if you're going to have some cake. Go find a cake, man. Go find. I'm going to have cake. I will have cake. But yeah, we should just go live and chat. Maybe something will pop up and we'll actually cover a topic. But yeah, we can be sitting here chowing down on cake and chatting with everyone and maybe watching some clips of something. See what happens.
I will eat some vegan cake for tomorrow.
Yeah, it's got to be made out of wheatgrass.
Yeah, I'll get some vegan cake and we'll gather here for David Wood's live stream. All right. Thanks, everybody. As always, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for being here. As always, there's going to be more, but don't listen to the SS. The SS is evil. Thanks, everybody, for watching. As always, have a fantastic day. And my goat is somewhere else again. I can't find my goat, but you know how it goes. You know how it goes.
Where's my goat?
As they always like to say.
I got it.
You sick in the mind?
Sorry. What? And here's the translation of that, of what you just heard in your own language.
Stay away from Islam.
Powerful.
Beast.